Welcome to episode 47 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. One of these days we'll like be on time for shit, or early, I guess. We're somewhat on time. Life got in the way, and Katie, if anybody watching knows that Katie's not here, but there's a plate of food and a drink. I didn't just feed the air. She'll be here. She's doing parent stuff and helping our kid with homework because it's math, so it's definitely not gonna be.
Are we live?
We're live.
Okay, I was paying super good attention.
Oh. Anyways, it's episode 87. Hey to everybody that's watching. This is episode 3 of Hottoberfest. So yeah. So let me go ahead and do our sponsor stuff real quick. We'll wait for Katie so she can do our rack sponsor. But I will go ahead and talk about Herb's reptile shows. Because unfortunately I don't actually get to go to any of them anytime soon. But the next reptile show is going to be October 23rd, 24th, this weekend in Temple, which I will not be at because, again, parent stuff. Our daughter has a music thing on Friday, and then two softball games on Saturday. So, Robert, I will not be there.
Yep.
But Robert will be there.
Yes, I will.
In Temple, I do remember that one. I think I've only been there like once.
Temple?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've done the show twice.
It's a good venue, though. That's a big venue.
Yeah, I like the venue.
That is a nice venue.
Like 5 minutes from Buc-ee's.
Oh, that is true. You can see Buc-ee's from the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. So if anybody's going there, just go by Buc-ee's, get you some beaver nuggets. And if you don't know what we're talking about when we say beaver nuggets, you really got to make it to Texas. Actually, you don't have to make it to Texas to go to Buc-ee's anymore. You can go to you can go to two of them in Alabama. There's one outside of Mobile and one outside of Birmingham. And then they're building the largest Buc-ee's ever in Tennessee.
Yeah, they can suck a dick.
Robert's not happy that the largest Buc-ee's ever gets to be made in Tennessee and not Texas.
Yeah.
It's gonna be I think it's gonna be like an attraction. There's gonna be a whole bunch there, and it's like the intro to the Smoky Mountains and all. And if anybody's thinking we're just talking about a gas station, it's not just a gas station. You got to go to a Buc-ee's. It's the best place on earth to take a shit outside of your own home.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
you have your own private stall.
Well, floor to ceiling walls, actual door, and there's like 30 stalls in there, so there's always one open.
Depends on which one you go to.
That's true. If you go now, there is a Buc-ee's locally that is literally just a gas station.
Yeah, there's several of them.
It's not even like the one that's closest to our home is a gas station, but it's still got like all the food and everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's one I went to that threw me off. I got into it and it was
the other end of Pearland.
Yes, just a gas station.
Yeah,
there's like no food. It's a convenience store.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a letdown when you see the name Buc-ee's.
Yeah, you pull in there and you're like, well, shit. The bathroom's clean though.
Yeah, it's got a nice bathroom. There is a nice bathroom.
Yep. See, Tracy said you mean it's a great place to watch YouTube videos.
That's true, to watch YouTube videos. It is. It's a nice little place to watch YouTube videos.
So until recently, they didn't have Wi-Fi in the stores and the service sucked.
Oh, that's true.
So you couldn't even like scroll Facebook.
But you can do it now.
Had to play like games that didn't require the internet. But
it sucks if you're the janitor there. I don't care if that's not my problem. That's their problem.
Yeah.
They do. I heard it's
they pay them pretty well.
Yeah, the pay there is insane for a gas station. It's well above minimum wage. But you should have to go to a Buc-ee's. I like their turkey bacon sandwiches they make. You can get there. Yeah, a million beef jerky flavors. This is now turned into a commercial for Buc-ee's, but that was one of the selling points of my daughter when we moved to Texas. I told her, hey, there'll be a Buc-ee's right down the street from our house. And she was super excited. So
this is so weird having my wife's computer because none of my passwords are in here. None of my and
it's all like naked guy porn and not naked women porn.
Couple of naked women. It's strange.
Watch out for all those dicks.
Yeah.
Speaking of dicks, let's go back to the Herb's Reptile Show. Amarillo, Texas, October 30th and 31st. That's out there on the other side of Texas, which is the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And then Lafayette, Louisiana, November 6th and 7th. I'm looking forward to that one because we're fat and we plan things around food, and there's a lot of good food there.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good show, I hope.
And our buddy Gina is making the food for the event. So if you're there, go by concessions, get some gumbo, and I know she's doing gumbo. Maybe red beans and rice.
I don't know.
That's
the first I've heard of it. She's on here though.
She has totally said it before. Thank you, Will.
Welcome, Will.
Will said first time watching in the first 5 minutes talking shit and talking dicks. Yeah, it's a lot of dick and shit talk. Yeah. That's what happens when Katie is not here for the beginning of the episode. But Lafayette is November 6th and 7th. You can also go to Prejean's when you're in Lafayette.
Red beans.
Ooh, Gina will have red beans and rice there. Sweet. And then the last show of the year is Austin, Texas, December 4th and 5th. So it's your last time to get some Christmas presents. Austin, Texas. And then is it the last one?
That's the last one of the year.
There's a Slidell.
Slidell, yeah. There's two.
Oh, there's two. Okay, there's two in December. My bad.
They're back to back.
Slidell is December 11th and 12th. So that is your last chance to get some Christmas presents. Slidell is always a big show, so I would definitely recommend coming to the Slidell show. If anybody out there's like, man, I really want to get to a Herp show. Slidell and Conroe, those are the two.
Yeah.
Gina said there'll also be hot dogs and chili cheese, so more wieners.
As long as the chili doesn't have beans in it, Gina.
Well, hot dog chili shouldn't have beans in it.
That's a good point.
But
no chili should have.
But fuck all you Texans. I like beans in my chili.
Well, you know.
I like some hardiness to my chili, and without beans, it's just meat sauce.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
No. Meat sauce. No. If
it's
you're out
got
there,
beans in it, it's soup.
If you're out there, don't listen to Texans. Put beans in your chili, unless it's on hot dogs. We all agree that hot dog chili needs no beans. That's just gross.
Good, Gina. Good job. We're still friends.
Also, sponsors talking about Wiregrass Exotics. If you're anywhere out near Southeast Alabama, go to Ozark, Alabama. Visit Wiregrass Exotics. The Rue is out there. Go out and check out their Venomous Snakes, the collection. Talk to them. They're awesome people to talk to.
I'm like scrolling through here like, why is none of this Facebook shit look right? It's Rachel's Facebook account. I got to log out and log into mine.
And since I saw Ashley Howdy on there, I'll go ahead and point out my sign again. If anybody that's actually watching. If you're not watching, then you're just hearing me talk about a sign that's behind me and you can't see it. But it's our Reptile Gumbo podcast on-air sign that was made by the Howdies over at Focus Cubed. I still love this thing. Every time I walk in, I'm like, it's amazing. Sean Gray was here last week before I even was at my house, and he took a picture in the podcast room.
I saw that
without me here. So, and then the sign is in it.
Actually, he tagged me in it, I guess.
Yeah. And then Katie's not here, so I guess we don't need to talk about our rack sponsor. I'll try it. Here we go. Are you looking for a high-quality PVC rack? Look no farther than Lone Star Reptile Racks. You can blah, 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 yada, 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 yada. Buy a rack from Lone Star Reptile Racks. That's the pitch. If you need a rack, buy a rack from Lone Star Reptile. And there's a lot of cool stuff coming. Some cool acrylic stuff coming. Stuff that y'all don't get to see, but I get to see. Really cool acrylic cage. So I think a lot of people are going to like. It's a great display cage. You may even see it on tables that shows the display animal.
It'll be there this weekend.
Oh, there you go. Make it a temple and you'll see it.
It's the prototype.
There'll be some changes. We talked about some changes. And
the
things.
locks will be different. And, but yeah.
But it's a great stackable acrylic cage. You just got to see it to believe it. But it's going to be really, I think it's going to be great for displays at shows. Just forget the old tower version where they're still cramped in there in a circle in a tower. You can stack these, and actually they're longer, and so you can.
Yeah, they're 30. Let me think, 30 by 12 by 9.5.
Yeah,
so
and then they have a cool. They fit inside of a cool PVC frame, so that the acrylic doesn't take any
built-in heat.
Stress.
The frame has built-in heat in it.
Sweet.
And has 12-inch heat tape, so it takes up about a third of the tank, a little over a third of the tank on the one side, and it's really good for geckos, anything that wants belly heat. It's not really tall enough for anything to put like radiant heat panels or anything in.
Yeah.
It's not tall enough.
No, it's a small cage, but it's a neat size for like a leopard gecko. Great for a leopard gecko.
Or a fat tail or
and just the view, it gets a whole different look. Like I said, once it gets ironed out, we get the official one. We'll post it up on the Facebook page.
Yeah. I haven't even put a picture of it out yet. Mainly because all the pictures I have suck.
So if you're in Temple, you can go see it. But it is nice. So this week, before we get to our guests and everything, we did something cool on this past Sunday.
We did.
We woke up and I don't know how I didn't know it was happening. You knew it was happening, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to go to this?" But one of our local, my brain's been blank. I know her name in my brain. Megan's gonna listen to this go. I'm not gonna try her last name. It's Western European.
Sablikovic.
It's a Western European or Eastern European last name.
I need to ask her how to say that.
It's one of those last names that like you saw in an 80s movie and they were the bad guy.
Yeah, we're gonna Google the shit out of this name.
But Megan, she runs a really cool Facebook group for around where we live, and it's like the very small neighborhoods, like communities that we're in, and it's a snake ID group. A lot of people post things in there, and she'll go and remove snakes from people's houses. their garages and everything. And she did an educational talk this past Sunday. She did very good. It was her first one to adults, and I think it went well. She brought corn snakes, rat snakes. I brought over my king snake, my Australian king snake. She had a bull snake. I had a pine snake. It was neat. There was a lot of people there. I was surprised on a Sunday morning for a show about snakes.
Yeah, there's over 30 people.
Over 30 people there. So that was an enjoyable thing to go do Sunday.
It is the 2,460,000th most common name in the world.
So not that common.
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
only
Smith.
46 people with that last name in the whole of United States.
And Megan's probably related to all of them.
Yeah, and that's her husband's last name. So
that's true.
Yeah,
that's. Ooh, it's got a lot of like consonants in there that you just don't know how to pronounce them.
It's her maiden name apparently was Hester, so I'm gonna go with that one for now.
That's an easier name
until I ask her how to say it, because I don't like butchering people's last names. And usually, if I hear a name once, I got it.
I also got a present from you. Came in today.
Yes.
And anybody that's watching, you can see I got the new calendar, the ball python calendar done by. I gotta get used to it. Canova Reptiles and Brittany Gobble. It's amazing photography. I will get it hung up behind us somewhere on the wall. But it's an awesome calendar that I'm looking forward to looking at. I'm not even a ball python person, but I love the photography in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
very creative.
Yeah, this is the
does a great job.
Second one they've done, I think. I think it's the second one. If not, it's the third one. I know they did one last year. I think maybe the second one. But Brittany Gobble does amazing photography. So check it out. I guess Katie will be here at some point. I don't know when she'll be here.
Yeah,
trying to think if there's anything else going on this past week that I need to bring up. But I think we're good. Robert's little rat hamster in his brain is running around. All right. So let's go ahead and get to our guest. So our guest, it's a two-part guest. We have two of them. One of them is running late. And once I say his name, everybody will understand. He's on his own schedule. But again, it is Hottoberfest. The theme has all been venomous stuff. And so we decided what better than a company that has it in the name. So I want to bring in our guest, Chris Woodcock from Venom Life Gear. How's it going? From now on, we're going to refer to him as Woody. So if anybody hears to say Woody, that's who it is.
There you go. Awesome.
But on here, you'll see Chris. So how's it going, Woody?
Very good. Thanks for having us on. It's great.
Yeah, for anybody else who doesn't know who the other guest, it'll be Brent from Venom Life, but he'll be on here at some point when he gets home and he's doing Brent stuff. But Woody's the one that, like, if you go to a show and see somebody working, it's gonna be Woody.
Oh man.
Well, Brent's the one you'll hear.
It's kind of funny because I always say that Brent is out strumming up business, and he's very good at that. He's the person that everybody gets to talk to, and he's, I don't have to tell you how much of a outgoing personality that Brent has. He's everybody's favorite, and then you got me, this kind of quiet guy in the back that just sits there and just, I fold clothes, sell stuff, and so.
But you do a lot. So for anybody that hadn't seen Venom Life Gear at this point, and you're in the hobby, you're probably under a rock because y'all have done all the big shows. You've done some of the herp shows. Brent's been on 7,000 podcasts at this point. I mean, weirdly enough, he hasn't been on one like a month and a half, which I think he's having withdrawals.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Yeah. It's funny because we still go to shows and I am always surprised. I just thought, if you get a big presence on social media and you're possibly talked about, I just assumed that a lot more people would know about us. And we still run into people all the time that say, never heard of you. Don't know what that is. So
everybody should check it out. It's amazing. So you started out, it was kind of basic. It was, we'll talk about the hooks in a second, but shirts and hats, very basic shirts and hats, but y'all have exploded here lately, right?
Yeah. In 2019, February 2019, we did the Arlington show, the Arlington and ARBC show. And that was the first time that we ever exposed the Venom Life Gear products or apparel line to the world. And it was really surprising because we really didn't know what to think was going to happen. And not that we brought a lot of stuff, but we did bring quite a few different pieces and sizes. And we almost sold out of everything we brought.
Awesome. I think that was the first time I saw, because I watched, I think it was Brian Cusco video where he was at the show. And that was the first time I saw y'all on there, was the Brian Cusco video.
Right.
And I've told Brent this before, the logo and the way it looks, y'all look like a very large company when in reality it's the two of you. Well, it's you and then Brent talking to people.
Right.
But that logo is amazing. I think it's very simple. It's the point across and it sticks out. It's one of those. It's like a Nike logo. That thing just it's very obvious what it is when you see it.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard the story, but we literally put it out to a group of some artists, and this one guy, sent us back 5 things, and that was number 2 of the 5. And as soon as we saw it, we were like, well, we don't got to look at anything else. This is it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I thought we'd be sitting there for weeks waiting for these people to get stuff back to us and have to choose that way, but it worked out amazingly. So we got very lucky.
That's kind of how I do with my logo. I went on Fiverr, found this guy who had a style that I had in mind.
Yep.
And I sent him my idea. He's in Mexico City. It was like $55. He sent me back with one, and I was like, "Well, tweak this and fix this." And he sent it back, and it was exactly what I wanted. And I thought it was going to be a pain in the ass process, and it turned out to be super easy.
Yeah. And before I forget, because I heard you guys talking about this before, there are 3 Buc-ee's in Florida now.
Oh, that's right. I do remember them building one. We went to Venom, not Venom Carpet Fest. On the way back, they were building one. Yep. I do remember that. There's 3 of them down in Florida.
Yep. I mean, forget about us.
we try, but Florida makes the news all the time. So,
Florida man.
That is a weird thing. That it's so weird that when you see a fucked up story in the news, you could say, "I bet it's Florida," and 95% of the time, it's fucking Florida.
Yeah, but keep in mind something. Us Floridians, those of us who were actually born here, we're a rare breed. Everybody else that lives here comes from all those northern states like New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. They all come down here.
That is true. So, a natural born Florida person's even weirder.
So talking about Florida.
Oh, by the way, Katie's back.
I'm here. My daughter, she needed help with math. We're learning how to.
And you're the one to do it, right?
Yes. I am a life science teacher. I'm not a math teacher.
Apparently, her math teacher hates the way that this program is teaching how to add and subtract percents.
Common Core math?
No, it's not. Don't get me started on that soapbox. There's actually no such thing as Common Core math. What you hate is the curriculum that the district chose to teach a math standard that they just want everyone in the country to learn.
Soapbox.
Don't even get me started on that.
Okay.
Damn. Moving on. Fuck.
On my lunch break today, I've been watching on Disney Plus. They have a little segment. It's called The Best Job Ever. And it's little 1 to 2 minute clips. And one of the guys was an 8th generation Floridian.
Jesus Christ. Wow. That's got to be one weird motherfucker.
Right. Well, he was actually really cool. But
was that his job, just being an 8th generation?
No, he's a photographer. Like, he travels around and he photographs like the manatees and the places in Florida that haven't been impacted by buildings and theme parks.
So like that one place in Florida that hasn't been impacted by everything.
I mean, pretty much. Yeah. But his team, like I actually wrote down information. It's sitting on my desk at school, but I wrote down information because I really want to like look this guy up and what his team does, because it seemed really cool. They're all about conserving your backyard, basically. And that was his whole thing, was anybody can be a wildlife photographer. Just go outside and see what you can find in your backyard. And but like, not all people from Florida are weird. That was what started this.
Not all, but it does help.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well,
I'm an accidental Floridian. I was conceived in California and basically brought back to Florida to be born. So, yeah. So.
Oh, just dropped off in Florida and left, and raised by an alligator.
Exactly.
That's how that works.
A group of woodcocks. There you go.
Oh. I'm slight ADD moment. So we were in here the night for the Zoom call that Chris from Snakes and Fat Man does every other Sunday, and I've got the door open to the little closet that all my iSpods are in, and one of them had itty bitty yellow mushrooms on Sunday, and I looked over there now, and they're fucking huge mushrooms.
Logan's dairy cows. I opened them up last night, and there's like these giant yellow mushrooms.
I've had them every now and then grow, and they just
is that Andy's dirt?
Yeah, it's probably in the dirt.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything.
No, they die and then they get eaten by the isopods. But they were itty bitty, like look like little small, back to the dicks and penis stuff. They look tiny penises.
They do.
And now they're just big, massive, like fern gully type mushrooms in my tub. And it's so weird. I see that every now and then pop up on people's little in bioactive stuff. They'll go, "Oh no, I'm growing these mushrooms. What should I do?" And I'm like, leave it. It's bioactive. Like
Right.
you made outside into a tank. Just let outside be outside. But also, all my iSpods are in here. I don't know did I ever talk about why I had to move my iSpods on the podcast?
I don't know.
I don't think
You
did.
say a lot, and I can't remember.
I know that's true.
You haven't talked about this on the podcast at all.
So I'll bring it up because it's a negative, but it is been taken care of and it's better now, and it's something that not everybody, but most people have to go through at some point.
Yeah, we're dealing with it right now. Rachel spent 5 hours dealing with it today.
Yeah, 18 years in the hobby, and I finally got mites. And I moved to Texas, and then all of a sudden, bam! My entire collection is. I mean, it was fucking crazy the amount of mites on my snakes, and it just happened overnight.
We ended up with them. So far, she's only found them on the Dumerals boas that are in quarantine, and 1 rack of ball pythons.
Give it time.
But she's treating every single snake. Every single snake, 150-ish snakes.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I got them under control. I use several different types of mite preventative or treatments, and then I hung some of those no pest strips in my room to help keep down on the mites growing back. But I had to move. The whole reason I said that was because I had to move my iSpods across the house, because if I put the no pest strips in there with my iSpods, I want people to know this, because you'll see a lot of people suggest to hang no pest strips in your reptile room, which is fine. Just make sure you don't have spiders and isopods in there, because I had to move all my spiders and isopods in this room.
Yep. I asked somebody one time when I was breeding Coleonyx, those bandit geckos from out west. I was breeding those things, and the crickets I was keeping kept dying. And I walked into something, I forget where I was, either a pet shop or I went to a herp meeting or something. I happened to say something. Do you have any idea why my crickets keep dying in my room? And then first thing I said was, you got no pest strips in your room? And I said, yeah. And he goes, there you go. And as soon as they came out of their mouth, I was like, oh God, that's such an easy one. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's no pest strips. The fumes break down the exoskeleton on those things and kill them. Which it won't hurt your snakes, it won't hurt your lizards, but it will get rid of some shit out of your snakes. So just make sure you don't have any of your invertebrates in there, because that would suck. I was gonna bring in our guest that's late to the party, but he's still fondling his camera, and I can see him down there fondling his camera.
Geez.
Let's go ahead and bring him in now. It's Brent. How's it going, Brent? As he blows
What's
kisses.
up, guys?
That's my business partner.
Oh man, it's going well now.
Welcome.
I would like to apologize if I seem preoccupied.
So what
My
did I miss?
daughter,
Oh.
my daughter is sending me math problems via text message so that she can be like, why did I get this wrong? Well, it's because you put the wrong number down, and that's why you did it wrong.
Why did I get
Use
this
the
wrong? You mathed
Pythagorean
wrong.
theorem.
So,
That's all you need to know is the Pythagorean theorem.
No,
Anyways.
she's sending you text messages.
well, I was in there helping her,
sending you
and then
math
I was like,
problems
"Are
via
you done?"
text.
I'm like, "Are you done?" Because I got a podcast, babe, and she was like, "Yeah, I think I know it." And then she texted me, "What did I get wrong?" Well, it was 365, not 565. So read the problem, check your numbers.
I did realize the only thing that they teach middle school science, is that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Every year I can say, hey guys, what do you know about the mitochondria? And 15 kids in every class go, it's the powerhouse of the cell. And then when you
that was
ask
in a
them,
movie.
when you ask them what that means, they don't have a fucking clue,
That was in a movie.
because that's the only thing they learn in middle school. It's literally the only science fact that is retained is that it's the powerhouse of the cell, and they know nothing about what it means.
Just to tell you how much of a science geek I am, I literally just downloaded a book from Audible that's just about mitochondria.
Man, that's got to be boring.
Read
as fuck.
science. Read
It's the
science.
powerhouse of the cell because it converts chemical energy into
Dude.
food.
I know
You should
why
read
it
this
is.
book. It's absolutely amazing, the kind of stuff that mitochondria is found to be involved with, and you have no idea. But it's, you know, your cells, as we do bad things to our body, mitochondria is affected, and it definitely
Yeah, Brent.
screws up the performance of your cells. So keep your mitochondria healthy. Woo.
The one neat science fact about the mitochondria, so everybody knows that, well, everybody knows, should know because of middle school and high school science, that the DNA is in the nucleus, but you do have separate DNA in your mitochondria. You have
Right.
DNA from your mother in your mitochondria.
So
Interesting
mitochondria were what, bacteria at one time that just basically found a home in our cells? Is that right?
Yeah, so the mitochondria and the chloroplast here. We're just going on a biology lesson. The mitochondria and the chloroplast, chloroplast being the thing that's in plants that goes through photosynthesis.
What does this have to do with our podcast?
It's
Just
an
gonna
interesting
say-
science fact. It's an interesting science fact. They both just listen to it's a really cool science fact, and I enjoy
Okay,
it.
go, James.
And we're not supposed to teach the cell this
Probably
year,
should.
so I'm going to do it. But they both are double membraned organelles, which is weird. Most organelles have one membrane. And that is because at one point, the chloroplast, which is found in plants, and mitochondria, which is found in plants and animals, were thought to have lived on their own. And they had their own DNA, and they functioned on their own. They did their own thing, and they got taken into cells. Fuck you, Brent.
We were at 19 watchers when you started talking about that. Now we're down to 14.
Yeah, but those 14 are now smarter. Those 14 now can slightly 13 can slightly pass a high school.
There went another
class.
one.
Fuck. All right. So let's get back to Venom Life. Venom Life Gear. So to get Brent up to date, we talked about how Brent doesn't do shit except for show up to shows and talk to people, and that Woody does all the work.
100%. Yeah, it's good. What else is there to talk about?
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on that. And then we were talking about y'all have a whole bunch of we're talking about logos. That's where we were. Fuck, is Chris eating online?
Oh yes,
Fuck
absolutely.
Fuck you, Chris. I know you're watching. We're talking about logos. So I love y'all's logo, and Brent like has a hard on for his logo because he'll tell you anybody if you ask him about it, he'll fucking explain it till the end of the day. But I love simple logos because being at reptile shows, anybody that's gone to a reptile show, you can see the whole gamut of logos. You can see the clip art piece of shit one that someone made because it's their first time. And trust me, I've been that guy. I know what it's like.
Hey, I have that logo on the back of a t-shirt. Thank you very much.
It's a great logo. It's a great first logo. I loved it. It was awesome. But then you'll see the ones that just it's just the logo is insane. It's a huge piece of art. And I know Robert hates our logo for the podcast because it's kind of like that. But I've seen some that are just they're so hard to look at. There's feathers and birds and reptiles and trees and all this shit. And you're like, that is
well, and
it's not a good logo.
As someone who gets commissioned to carve people's logos into signs, when you have a stupid, difficult logo, and I look at it and go, nope, not happening. It's 13 different colors, and I could do it, but you don't want to pay for it.
Yeah,
it's one of those things.
Show me the $2,500 and I'll do it one time.
Right, exactly.
So I love your logo. My logo, we had a friend of Katie's mom to do mine. It's very simple. It's two colors. The only tricky part is that the S's, the two snakes, overlap. So when you do vinyl, it's a pain in the ass because they overlap. But
yes, Lana, definitely calling you out on that logo. It only has a couple of different colors, but it's like 13 different shades.
Yeah,
of
the
purple.
No Drama Llama, it doesn't look overly complicated. There's not a ton to it. It's just that there's 50 million different colors and that you have to cut it out.
I was just about to say exactly what Tracy said in the chat. It's the same for when you're making shirts because when you make, since we've already gone there, the No Drama Llama shirt, there's lots of pieces. And that's what I hate about the S's and yours is there's pieces.
They overlap.
Mm-hmm.
I want it. I can just peel vinyl for one label.
Damn, I should have brought my shirts with me. We even got the vinyl in.
So anybody out there that's listening that is going to make a logo, which is everyone who buys one ball python, they make their fucking logo on the first day. Put some thought into all the things that logo is going to go on.
I wonder how many new people are going to have their company name like
something like Canova,
Lewis Nova, or everything's going to be Nova for a while.
It'll be. If it works for him, it'll work for me. No, it fucking won't.
Right. Go be original.
It fucking won't. Look, ask Kmart.
Yeah.
How well did it work for them?
Yeah.
But just think about that when you're designing a logo, please. That it's going to be on shirts and hats if you do well. I mean, don't worry. Most of y'all, after 6 months, you won't be a business anyways. You'll never actually breed a snake. So it doesn't fucking matter.
James.
The truth is sometimes.
Good Lord.
I didn't even hear what he said. I wasn't listening.
Mean, if you're lucky, you'll even get your logo on a couple calves or something. Like, that's and the whole Canova thing, man. I think is fantastic. The simplicity that went into the new one, and two, I don't know. Can we do shout outs? Is that cool? I don't get paid.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Is that cool? All right, cool. So the new Canova logo was done by our boy Blake Stewart, man, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I think, I mean, if you're looking at doing new logo stuff, even if you don't work with him, at least look at what he's done and do some research because that dude knows what's going on with simple logos. And we got really lucky that he walked up to us and he's like, yeah, I mean, you pretty much did everything I was going to tell you to do. So we got really lucky, but I'm telling you, man, like simple is good. And like you guys brought up, for the simplicity of everything from t-shirts to carving to stickers to, man, you look at screen print, you got 5 or 6 different colors. You're paying for the base color on a black plus the 5 or 6 colors plus the 20 cents per color change at 7 sizes at 6 per shirt. Like, you know what I mean? It's like an extra. It's it's an extra $150 just in color to get one of each shirt done. And simple is better. And to be honest, man, I don't know how far you guys got into the logo thing, but we got really lucky. We got really lucky, man. I'm not gonna
Explain
lie.
that to him.
Yeah, that's what he was saying.
Oh, you did explain it? Like
Yeah.
so when we went to like the Damon John success formula, you know what I mean? And like we did this whole workshop on entrepreneurship, and dude, when you got like the guys, you know, from Damon John's team at FUBU designing your stuff, you know, we had 5 options and it was like, yep, number 2, we'll take it, and out the door. Like that was it. It was super simple process. But I think you guys are right. Like people try to overcomplicate it, and it's because I'll tell you why. You guys want to know why? Because when 90% of the reptile industry is dealing in Pokemon pythons, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Got to catch them all, trade them with everybody. When people are doing that,
I've never heard that. It's fabulous.
when it's, we just learned it the other day from our buddy Graham.
That's
over
like
in
the best
UK.
saying ever.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need a
100%.
shirt.
So yeah, for sure, got to catch them all, trade with your buddies. You know, when 90% of the industry is dealing with that, at least it shows it's a lot harder to stand out. And when everybody wants to be the next Kabilko, and you know, and that's what they want to do is try to step up their game to be the next guy to do the next cool thing. I mean, it's hard. So everybody goes out of their way to do everything a little bit extra to try to like outcompete everybody else. And I think they put so much into the logo because the name might not be creative enough, right? And so anybody out there who's like getting started or looking to start your own business at all, like, dude, keep it simple, because I mean, our whole thing came from like swamp life, salt life, mud life. I was like, well, nobody's doing shit for Venomous yet. Let's do that. It was like, and it was halfway a joke for a while. You know what I mean? Look at Walmart, man.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Walton will flat out tell you to your face, he stole every idea he had. He just found somebody else who did it better and took it and made it his. Like, he'll tell you that. And that's one of the best things you could do is find somebody who already did it better and just do what they're doing.
Well, and you think about, if you think about any big company and you think about a logo, you can't really think of one out there that's big with a complicated ass logo.
No. Well, like
Nike
Justin,
is a check mark.
and like Justin said on Chris's, when he was on with Chris, you know, all your big companies, their name has nothing to do with, like, their logo and their name has nothing to do with what they do.
Yeah.
But it's iconic. And you know, that's pretty damn smart.
Yeah, not to harp on this, but I guess there aren't very many people that are happy with US Arc right now changing their logo.
My only thing was it looks so much like US Bank.
Yeah, but that's just their logo for letterhead.
I know. I just like a different color, but I don't know. It's so close to US Bank.
True.
But I do like them having an official, professional look. I definitely see where they need that. And so, like, people that got upset about that, they'll still make your stupid ass shirt that says US Arc on it that you got from it'll still get made with the fun logo on it. Calm down.
Maybe what people have to remember is like US Arc isn't just a place that puts on shows. They're a national nonprofit representation for every single law in every single state to protect our ability to keep the animals that we want to keep. So for them to roll in with some Scooby-Doo scribbly bullshit and then compete with people on a federal level in national Congress, it makes sense that they have a much more professional logo that not only is more professional, but also shows up on the side of a recognized thing. Because when you look at it, first thing you thought of was US Bank. But in the mind of a normal consumer, what most people don't think about from a business standpoint is if you look at something and it looks like something you've already seen before, it's automatically trusted.
Yep.
Yeah.
So from their point, it's one of the smartest things they could have done. And that alone, I think, will help protect our rights to keep the animals we want to keep more than a cool logo. You know what I mean? And by the way, when I said Scooby-Doo bullshit, I wasn't like down talking anybody in particular. I was just saying, relatively.
No, the ones that got upset are the guys that
look at that stuff. They may see it that way. So
yeah.
Well, the ones that got upset are the guys that have one pastel and a Mojave ball python in the garage, and they're going to be millionaires in a month.
And they're trying to tell US Arc how to market.
Yeah, those are the ones that got upset.
That's what and that's what I'm saying. Like,
I think my favorite part of when Justin announced his change was the people coming on. There's a Canova Spanish language TV station that probably has that trademarked. Hey, you know, there's a company in Canada named Canova that probably has that trademarked. And it's like, you really fucking think they didn't do their due diligence before they did this on a multi-million-dollar company?
Well, especially since he had a company that's their job.
Right. Yeah.
Not to mention, as far as patents and trademarks goes, there is worldwide trademarks and patents and stuff like that. But at the same time, as long as it's 30% different, it's not a big deal. And
Right.
two, the USPTO is the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So if he has a US patent, he can do whatever he wants here. He might have a
Right.
hard time in Spain,
Right.
but here he can do whatever he wants.
Exactly.
Right? So that's the kind of stuff that people need to actually, like you said, do their due diligence and really like pay attention to that kind of stuff.
I think I would not. So again, my opinion doesn't fucking matter. I'm not a big fan of the Canova name. Just simply, I think if I had not known it as JK or like JKR first, then I'd been fine with Canova. It'd be great. But I come from that, like in the early 2000s, when everyone's business name was their name, and then reptiles or exotics, and so I'm used to that. That's that kind of reptile breeder name that I like. And his is just, I know that for some people it's hard for the first time they see it how to pronounce it, but once you know how to pronounce it, it's very easy to say Kabilka.
Well,
Can
but
we
companies
get
do that
a-
all the time. Are you mad about the fact that Taco Bell went just to purple and white from the red, blue, and
Taco Bell's
and
not
yellow?
allowed in this house, so he doesn't have an opinion.
I'm just saying, like they changed to purple and white only, and nobody had a comment
But that's just
about
that's a
that.
color change. It's not a name change. Like what Justin did is pretty big. Companies don't normally, and I know we talk about him as a company, but he is. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a company. Like, he's a
Sure.
big company
He's
at
a
this point.
business, 100%.
Yeah, they don't normally just up and change their name, even at the highest point. And he's at the highest point.
It's not unusual for companies to rebrand themselves. It's not that unusual.
But it seems weird for a successful company to do it. Like Walmart's not going to go, man, we really need to change our name.
Yeah.
And so that's the part that seems weird. I mean, in a year, nobody will give a fuck.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's the other thing. Everybody gets upset. I've said that I just don't like it. I'm not upset at the name change. It's his fucking business.
Right.
He could name it Shit Snakes Unlimited if he wants to. I don't care. But I only say that because it's ball pythons. Kabilka snakes are amazing. Yada yada yada. Put a little disclaimer there at the bottom. But I do like the simplicity of the logo. Like I said, that's y'all's logo is that it's you can put just the red like little viper head, or you can have the Venom Life word around it. Like either way works, but that little red viper head is obvious. It's y'all. Like
The icon.
yeah.
And like you said, man, really what it came down to for us was like, you have your Nike, you have your swoosh. And once people know who you are, you don't need to put the word Nike on every single t-shirt anymore. They
Right.
see the swoosh and they know what that means. And Under Armour has the UA. And
Amazon has the arrow.
100%, right? So like you get to the point where you have that thing, and I think that's a huge part of branding, and was a big part of our kind of idea from the beginning, was to make sure that we had something that looked really good together, but if it was just by itself, it still looked good. And I think that's a huge part that a lot of people miss, is like, is that going to be enough to stand out from everything else to where you know what it is? Now, to be fair, we've had comments about the Venom energy drink. We've had comments about Venom, the MMA fighting gear. We've had comments about all these other things that like, your logo looks a lot like this, or have you talked to these guys in the MMA about getting your logo on their stuff? And I'm like, well, first of all, there's already a company that does that called Venom. But you know, we're in a different realm, and it's not direct competition for us.
Right.
Well, and there's going to be a similarity in logos when it's Venom and everybody thinks of a viper.
Well, and I had a company recently reach out to me wanting me to buy some billboard space, and I'm like, why? how many impressions am I going to get from reptile people that may purchase from me that drive by this billboard in a year?
Oh yeah.
Not enough.
Dude, if you're in Texas and you have a star and or the word Lone Star, it's hard to stand out. And that's nothing against like what you're doing over there, but
well,
it's like you go to Colorado.
There may be some changes coming soon.
Google 5280. Go to Colorado and Google 5280.
Oh yeah.
The first 77 pages of Google will show up with 5280, everything you can imagine, because everybody has it, right? And that's how it is with the star and the Lone Star thing in Texas. And but that was smart of you not to invest $10,000 in a billboard for something where it's like, people as they pass, like, was that like Lone Star Law, Lone Star Harley Davidson, Lone Star whatever. Like I get it, and again, not bashing you, Robert. You know that we love you with all our heart, but you're absolutely right, man. It takes a lot to be able to stand out, and I don't know, man. I think simple is better.
Well, you know what's funny, Brent, is that I don't know if you remember we had this conversation, but when we first came up with this, and you had mentioned having this icon just be our Nike swoosh, and that's all we're going to need. In my mind, I don't think that I ever thought that I would ever believe that it would come down to that. As a matter of fact, I know I did. I didn't ever believe that it would come down to that. But now, you guys can't tell me that you go to a show and you see our stuff everywhere, and that damn icon is always on someone's back or always on someone's front or whatever, and you see it everywhere now. And I'm finally a believer. I mean, you know, Brent's mind is a business mind. He has that way of thinking about things, and I'm not that person, you know. And that's why I always say that's my business part. Thank God I have him, because he's the side of that business that his mind can think that way, and I need that. I needed that from somebody, and it worked out great. But yeah, so that icon is definitely going in that direction.
Yeah, a business mindset. So, like I said, a lot of people get into this hobby and they create their logo and their sticker and everything before they ever breed a snake. But they don't think anything business wise. Like they don't have a future other than buy. It's like the did you ever see the episode of South Park with the underpants gnomes? Anybody? No.
Oh, yeah.
So
What the hell do you do with your free time?
Oh
man?
no, it's great. So the underpants gnomes, okay, they steal underpants.
I don't even think I've watched that part.
They have a 3-part
20 years.
Listen, they have a 3-part plan. Part 1, steal underpants. Part 2, part 3, make money. That's it.
Yep.
They didn't. Part 1, steal underpants. Part 2, part 3, make money. I feel like that's most people with snakes. Part 1, buy snakes. Part 2, part 3, be a millionaire.
Yep.
They're just everybody's fucking underpants.
Like the one I sent you a little while ago with the guy with the world's first Doomer boa morphs.
It was a pink Doomer. It was a normal
A
Doomer.
fucking absolutely a normal Doomer boa.
Listen, you guys. I'm really not trying to downplay anything or call anybody out or piss anybody off.
Do it.
You know, if I have to, I will.
I'm pretty much
If you guys
sure
want to
that
see it worlds, if you guys want to see it worlds first, this is the first time I've been on Reptile Gumbo drinking a Dos Equis lime and salt especial. This is the world's first.
World's first.
Everybody enjoy the world's first.
World's
Because-
first.
To be completely honest, everybody's the world's first. And let's be
Yeah.
clear about that. I would highly bet, as a real scientist, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I have a degree in biology with an emphasis in zoology, and I've done research for years. Most people don't know that about me. So as a biologist and a zoologist, I highly doubt that every single highway pied striped het plus Mojave ghost
Sounds just like you,
pinstripe
James.
leopard
this is why you get along so well with
one-eyed
them.
monster, whatever. As long as there's gonna be so many names on the top of these clear lids that you're gonna have to lift the lid to see what the snake looks like. And I
Yes.
highly doubt most of these people have actually done their real due diligence and have DNA on them, because they're like, oh, this one has 3 spots on one side and 2 stripes on the back. It must be a Mojave leopard. And I'm like, that's not how genetics works, man.
Well, it was like the one guy. I forget what the post was, but I remember I was sharing it. It was something about making a new albino. I'm like, that's not you. You can't fucking make a new albino. That's not how that works.
Yeah, that's like making new people. That happens every day.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
That it's well the other part. So we talk about people getting into this and not having a business mindset. They get into it not having any idea of science, and they want to start being a geneticist on day one. And you're like, I'm gonna need you to come the fuck down.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm
actually-
amazed. I'm amazed the amount of people I hear that talk about alleles and things like that in Punnett Square. I mean, that really is kind of a neat thing, because you have to be that way, especially in the ball python world, right? You really
Yeah.
have to understand where all those genetics are coming from and how you make them and those kind of things. It's not, I would say it's boring to a lot of people, but there's people out there that really, really take that emphasis and run with it.
I don't
So
think
what's-
there's enough. That was my original point. I think a lot of people are just like, they're just saying it's a het whatever because that's what they bought from somebody else who said it was a het whatever, who hatched it out and didn't know exactly
Yeah.
what it was and said it was a het whatever. And like, it's, you know, have you guys ever played Banana Phone? I know you have, James. You probably do it every Wednesday at noon.
Banana
in
Phone.
your classes, yeah.
What the fuck is
You're like,
banana phone?
when like you have to tell somebody
It's
a
the
word around
telephone
room.
game.
Telephone game.
Yeah,
It's
the
the-
telephone game. Yeah, Banana Phone sounds so much more fun.
I've
Yeah, you
never
play-
heard it called banana phone.
Listen, I'm from
Abo.
Colorado. I'm from Colorado. Don't judge. So
Do you say
someone was high
catty
when it came to
corner or do you say kitty corner?
Cat-
If
it's
something
catty
is-
corner for sure.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
We've had this conversation.
We can still be friends.
Some people say kitty corner. It makes no fucking sense.
No, well, I mean that's when the cat gets in trouble. Obviously, that's where it goes.
Put it in the corner. Fucking cat.
But honestly, like it's a lot like that, right? Like when people are like, "This is a het, whatever," and they get back to their booth and like, "Well, I bought this for $400. It's a het I'm pretty sure he said highway. I'm just gonna put that on it, and I'm pretty sure that happens. I'm pretty sure that happens.
It happens.
That's what I'm saying. So, and listen, we didn't come on here tonight to bash ball python breeders, but
You may not
all
have.
I'm
I
saying is
totally
if-
come on
I
here
mean,
every week.
every day of James's life.
Every week. This is
What
my
are we
chance to
talking
do it.
about here?
All I'm saying is
God.
if you're gonna play with the Pokemon pythons and you actually want to do better than everybody else, don't do the same shit they're already doing. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we talk about people throwing out the words alleles and het and all this.
Yeah.
I totally love it because I'm a genetics person. I'm a biology major and I love genetics. But the problem is a lot of people are just regurgitating these terms and don't actually fucking know what it means. Like if you tell them an allele, they don't know what an allele is.
Well, that's where I
spot.
was going with this. Is that you get
Yeah.
a lot of people that actually have taken the time now to educate themselves about a lot of these specific terms, and I think it's good, but you don't find a lot of people that will do that.
No, and it's and unfortunately, I mean, we make fun of. Let's say it's unfortunate. We make fun of ball pythons because they're the number one, and they're the one that everybody is doing this shit with, and they're pretending that they're now a geneticist. I mean, that's why I have 2 geneticists on call if I have any genetics questions.
Right.
I'll tell you. I used to teach anatomy and physiology, and that was the one part of the class that I omitted because I didn't want to have anything to do with teaching that because I didn't want to watch every single person in that damn class going.
Oh, I love teaching genetics. I get to bring my
Yeah, but you
snakes
take
in.
snakes to teach genetics.
I bring
so
in,
you
like-
It's a
make
whole
it
different realm.
really
albino
fun.
corn snakes and anthoristic corn snakes and a snow corn
And
snake.
the way that you teach genetics is good enough that our 10-year-old daughter was able to refer back
Correct her teacher.
she was able to refer back to the lesson he taught and actually correct her teacher on a test that she took. And she was like, no, it has to be this right answer because in snake genetics, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, oh my God.
My 10-year-old. I feel bad for any science teacher that has my daughter.
That
My
is
10-year-old has now
awesome.
corrected her science teacher multiple times this year.
And we're 10
Awesome.
weeks into the school year, and I can think of 3 off the top of my head.
She was right each time.
She was, and I'm proud of her because she's polite when she does it. Like, oh, jeez.
So that reminds me. I
Ask me
saw.
to prove you wrong.
Force to be reckoned with. And if she doesn't like something and she wants to negotiate with you, she'll write you a letter. Her English teacher told me today, she's like, I'm a firm believer in not switching seats and making kids stay where I put them and learning to work with other people. But because your daughter wrote me this magnificent letter explaining why she felt it would be more beneficial, not only for
Miss
her,
teacher, this fucktard next to me can't
but
shut the fuck up.
for the
She
other
is
kids
gonna be
in
an
the
attorney.
class.
And she's gonna write
She was
awesome
like, I
briefs.
moved her, Katie. I had to put her somewhere else. And I was like, you gave in. Don't give in. That's the first problem.
She is gonna be a magnificent attorney. And she's gonna be like
God.
known for writing the best briefs.
She is
They go to the
so-
Supreme
Wow.
Court.
She's
That's
so
amazing.
good at it.
So we talked about
Fucking percentages are gonna like
so
bring us down.
so my daughter knows genetics because of snakes. It kind of reminds me of a post today. There was a post in a corn snake forum, in a corn snake Facebook group that just went fucking ape shit. Someone asked if you could feed hamsters to a corn snake, which by the way you totally can. There's nothing
Right.
against feeding a hamster to a corn snake.
Somebody actually
It's a fluffy
said,
mouse.
no,
You
they
better
have
be
too
dead.
much hair and they'll
Yeah.
get impacted because the hamsters have too much fur. Someone said that
Okay.
They have too much
Too
fur.
much
and
fur.
said, "I'm a vet tech. I know what I'm talking about."
Oh, that's
I need to know what vet so we
a little bit
never
of an
go to vet
education is a
office.
dangerous thing.
That's like eating all the substrate in their tanks, like they never ate a pine needle or a
Right.
leaf or something like that in the wild, right?
Yeah, you're getting into the hobby. You're way more worried about impaction than what actually fucking happens.
Yeah, it's
I have-
actually pretty rare.
And
Yeah,
it's usually some other sort of thing that led to it. No water, bad health conditions before. Like they're not eating off of plates in the wild. That's just not what's happening.
right. I fucking had a great point, but I don't remember what it was now.
But so the
Whatever.
hamster thing. It was funny to watch this one chick from the UK get all pissed because in the UK you can't feed live because they're the fucking UK and pussies.
So-
But what?
Go ahead. I want to answer what Victor said there.
So she was talking about how cruel it would be to feed this hamster because they were talking about the kid wanted a hamster and they couldn't talk the kid into wanting a mouse where they could raise mice and just feed them to the snake. So they were going to try and talk the kid. They were trying to breed the hamsters. And the woman was so upset, like, you're going to take this hamster, you're going to kill it and feed it to the snake. What is your kid going to think? And everybody was like, but snakes eat hamsters. That's like, teach your kid. That's how that shit works. Like my kid from 2 years old or whatever knew that we fed bunny rabbits to snakes.
Yeah.
And so when you see a bunny rabbit, that's snake food.
Hey, we had calves that when they hit the ground, they were named Hamburger or T-Bone because we knew that when they got to the right size, that's what they were becoming.
Yeah. So like, I think the problem is, and I see it as a teacher, not enough parents educate their kids when they're young. Outside, they assume the school will do it all. But there's so many life things that happen around your house with your kids that if you just talk to your kids about the thing, it's not a big thing, and they become smarter, whatever that thing may be. And you see the adults that become adults that don't know how to handle situations because they just weren't educated.
Well, like the guy who got hit by somebody that ran a stop sign the other day.
Oh shit! And then he
got out
shot
of his car, shot the guy and killed him, and then got back in his car and drove off.
You didn't know the guy. There was no previous.
A 20-year-old killed a 19-year-old. Did not know one another at all because of a minor accident.
Also, you live in Houston. Let's throw that.
Good point. Good point. It's in the water here, apparently.
Throwing that out there.
Yeah,
that is true.
But you know, when you're talking about stuff like that, man, that's one of the big things. People ask us all the time, what is Venom Life about, right? And a lot of it is we want it to be a conversation starter. We want to be like standing in the line at the gas station or have our people standing in the line at the grocery store, and people are like, what is Venom Life about? And they're like, oh, let me tell you. Venomous snakes aren't that bad. Like, and then we start talking about like the educational aspect, right? So like you're saying, we actually kind of after the fact developed this whole brand about educating the general public about, you know, making sure that we're having the conversation with people that should be had a long time ago, but nobody does it. So, you know, back to that point about giving people good information, you can't expect everybody else to do it. So you have to kind of just make it your own. You know what I mean?
Well, I hate when people dumb things down because they assume whoever they're talking to can't understand it. You can try, like I would get pissed when my daughter was smaller and they would try and simplify it. I'm like, no. You talk to her the way you're going to talk to me. If you're going to tell her something, teach her something, talk the same way. She's going to learn it. But people will dumb things down, and I'll hear, you know, that's why a lot of things just don't get taught correctly. What?
Isn't Blood by Design April?
Yes.
She's vending Lafayette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
Awesome. What happened to
I can
Brent?
hear you whispering.
I'm right here.
Okay. Cool.
So you call him fuck stick, Sean Gray.
Sean Gray's in the chat.
He's my favorite fuck stick. I love Sean Gray.
Whoa. Hey, what y'all do on your own time.
So he must be talking about you.
No, so
then
he said not Chris though.
Not you, Chris. You're cool.
Oh, thanks.
It's one of those fuck you. You're cool.
Who's next? I'm out.
I love Sean Gray so much, man. I'm so happy to watch
Who
the.
cannot
watch
love
the
a man that
succession
wears
there
those
stuff.
color shoes and those color socks?
Amen.
So,
With pride.
And
With
doesn't suck a dick.
pride.
That's really, you would definitely think, looking like Sean,
Y'all are such a mess.
he would at least see what it feels like inside his mouth. All right.
No.
also to be clear, I love Sean Gray, and I'm super happy to watch the progression of their new shop.
Yes.
And I'm
Absolutely.
so excited for them and their new shop. Congratulations to them. And
So
I'm stoked.
that reminds me of something Katie and I were talking about the other day. I've been in the hobby now for almost 20 years. And for a lot of that, I've been trying to find the people in the hobby that I connect with, I click with.
He needs his people. He's trying to find his tribe. Let's just put it out there.
But
Jackie.
I have when I found Herps and all the people in it, that is my group of people. Like, and because Robert and I, we talk all the time, and I'm still in some of these other groups, and I listen to other people, and we don't have the same. It's not that I need people that think the same way as I do, because it's not. In our, if you go to a Herp show, there's tons of people that do not think the same way as me, but we're able to talk that through in a civil way. But there are definitely some people in the hobby that they feel elevated, maybe, and maybe they don't feel that way, but they come across that way, and so they don't seem to connect well with the lower part of the hobby, whatever it is. I was very happy when I found Herps and I found everybody that I finally found the people that
He found his people.
I did. I found it's family. Like you're talking about loving Sean. I love Sean and Lori. Like they, you know, when we say bye, it's love you guys. Like it's not a empty thing. It's not a see you later. They are
And
family.
James. Don't forget James.
And James Bergoli. That bald
Let's be
fat fuck.
real. You
It's
know
really
that
just
you
white
love
bread.
Kayla more because she makes the
She
bread.
does make good bread.
Yeah, that bread's pretty good.
It's the only reason people talk to James.
You know, I never got any at Conroe. I
Really?
never went up there and bought any. I just
Oh,
at the end of the day, I'm like, fuck, I never went and got any bread.
I ate my snickerdoodle.
So we
loaf
always
of
buy bread,
in.
and then it gets like put in the back of the,
Try that
the
again.
fridge.
Try that
It
again.
gets put in the back of the fridge, and then no one reminds me that it's there, and then it goes bad.
You are a grown ass man.
Or it gets put in a tub from a show, and I find it 6
You
months
are
later,
a grown ass
and
man.
it is fucking gross.
My loaf of snickerdoodle bread was gone in 2 days because I ate half of it for breakfast on Saturday and half of it for
not all of us
breakfast
sit
on
there and
Sunday.
eat an entire loaf of bread.
Don't you judge me.
I'm judging you.
I got to
But-
tell you right now, there is no other podcast that's being shown in the reptile world that's anything like this.
Oh God.
That's good or bad. I don't know.
Hey,
It's one or the other.
Way
So-
more entertaining. Way more
So-
entertaining.
when we were at Conroe, I got a loaf of bread, and
Creepy the way you said that, by the way.
it was a cherry cheesecake bread.
Did you ever eat it?
No, I brought it to Daytona, so we could eat it, and then I forgot, and then I brought it to the next show so we could eat it, and then decided it probably wasn't a good idea. So
I probably would not have eaten it that many weeks later.
I mean, that is a fresh, very moist bread. After a few weeks, you don't want to take a bite of that.
I remember I packed it in my bag to go to Daytona because I was like, oh, it's the next week, and I was like, I haven't eaten it yet, so I was like, I'm gonna put this in my bag for Daytona.
Oh
And I brought it
God.
to Daytona. Woody's like, what the fuck is that from last week? And I was like, yeah, dude. And I was like, we're gonna eat it this weekend. And then like Sunday night, I was packing, and I was like, fuck, we never even opened this bread from Daytona. And I was like, yeah, I should probably.
I feel like you're like, Woody, we're gonna eat it this weekend, and Woody goes, who's
I'm
fucking
not.
we?
It's
You got
like,
a mouse in your pocket, bro?
yeah.
You ever heard of
Right?
botulism?
You and the fucking dolphins
You ever
go
heard of
out to the beach,
botulism?
bro.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Oh man.
Oh no, the worst was I told Katie put in a tub from a show. We didn't open the show tub for like 6 months. It was a whole
It
new
wasn't that
civilization.
long, I don't
It
think.
wasn't that long, but yeah.
I think it was more like 2 months.
Yeah.
It was a whole brand new civilization
Don't be so
growing.
Wasn't it
up.
like a
dramatic.
blueberry
Cure
or
for
something? So
COVID
it
in
had
there?
fruit.
Yeah, it did have fruit in it, which is I think what sped up the
Did you have a bunch of baby breads when you opened it?
I saw that
you
and,
had
it took
the
me,
cure
and then
for something, that's for sure.
two things hit. One, I realized, fuck, I had bread. And then two, I'm like, don't open this shit. And I threw it away quick. It was all sorts of different colors and it had fur. And it may have actually been moving when I opened it. It was
It
bad.
was the cure for something, I'm sure.
Or the next thing I was going to call zombies. One of the two. You wanted to answer Victor, something Victor said?
Yeah, he said, don't be surprised when someone actually names their company Pokemon Pythons.
Yeah.
I've seen it like
There you
3
go.
times already.
Yeah, it
Oh,
exists.
have you?
It exists.
And I'm sure they get a cease and desist pretty quick
oh, I imagine.
because the parent company of Pokemon protects their brand very
Oh
strongly.
yeah.
Like I know someone else who has Dragon Balls exotics, and they have not had any problems with that yet.
There's an S on the end of balls.
Yeah.
Douglas Ray White's in the chat.
Also,
Hey,
nobody cares. There has to be a Z in there. But
Yeah.
also, like, do it, man. Do it. It's just
Sean-
cease and desist. It costs them $250 to send you a letter. All you have
Right.
to do is stop after the letter. Do whatever the fuck you want before that.
exactly.
So
Try it out
Sean,
for a bit.
Sean Gray just posted in the chat and it says, speaking of Tubbs, who has the doll? So for listeners that are not Herps show people,
Okay, go ahead.
the doll, first of all, it's really not that bad.
Not
if you
once
think
you've
about it.
seen,
I've never actually
not
seen
once
it.
you've seen Debbie
Once
Price's
you've
doll.
seen Debbie's doll, all things are off because that
Yeah.
doll
The
is
shipping queen, Debbie
scary
Price,
as
has
shit.
the most horrifying doll that she loves to death.
Dolls don't scare me,
That
and
one does.
her doll terrifies me.
What
Well,
do we
It's
I don't know
got,
what,
like-
where is
Okay,
Sean's
so
doll?
there is
Where's
a
the Hertz
baby doll. It's got
Yeah.
a hard plastic head and a cloth body, and it was found in a parking lot at a show.
How long ago?
It's been a while.
Year and a half.
Someone decided to attempt to clean it up. It's had a T-shirt made.
Well,
And
it
it's
ended up at Tracy.
So
She made a shirt.
they decided to start passing it around the vendor. So they basically will hide it in your shit before you leave the show.
Oh,
In your truck, in your trailer, in your
It's-
tubs, in your
Sean said
pallet,
2
in your
years.
kid.
Over 2 years. Yeah.
So,
2 years,
but
yeah.
but here in the last 6 months or so, or the last year for sure, people that get the doll, like I think Nine Finger Sean had it, and like there was like something was amputated off of the doll. When Tracy had it, she made it a shirt. It was bit by something else. Like now there's like bite marks in the doll because it was bit by another animal. So this poor doll has been through the ringer.
Yeah. So during COVID, we passed it from person to person.
So-
There's no problems there.
Sean posted in 2020, in June of 2020, that they had been hiding it for 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's what I said. I said it'd been years, man. I knew it was years.
yeah, but I'll be honest. Now Debbie's doll,
That's horrifying.
it's got like it's like a true porcelain, and it's got like big old black.
It was like the same kind of. Well, no, that was the doll that Debbie got. Had one as a kid, just like that, and then her husband Bill got that one for her, and it's horrifying.
So it's Annabelle.
Yes, basically.
I guess I don't watch scary
But
movies.
she fucking loves it. But yes, someone in the Herp shows has this doll, and I haven't seen it posted lately. So what happens? It gets put in a tub, and most of us put it like in a garage or something until we do the next show. So it's sitting at somebody's house, and they have no idea.
Trimbach, Nine Finger Sean put it in Elise Lagos back in March.
So
They
Eastwood
were
has
back to
it.
back.
Well,
They
that
were
was in
sharing
March.
that end. Yeah.
Tracy
Well,
said we.
Go ahead.
Well, Tracy said we can't give it to you because you'll forget you have it and forget to pass it on.
That's the last time anybody's posted about it in the group.
I think Sean Gray, I don't even know why he asked that question, because if anybody did have it, obviously they're holding on to it secretly for a reason. And so they're not going to post about it. It's going to be a surprise for somebody. They're not going to warn you about it. If we know who has it, we're all going to be watching out.
I thought that's what it was, Sean.
Sean said, Brent and Woody, when's he going to get his licensing agreement? That means Sean, he hadn't thought about it. Fuck you.
Hey, Sean, I'll call you tomorrow.
So okay, all the way back. We'll go back to we talked about when y'all originally at the Arlington show forever ago when you first came out, and it was based simple hats and shirts. But lately you have exploded. So what other things do you have now for the Venom Life Gear?
It was funny because sorry, Brent, I'm going to talk over you, but
no, I'm going to get my snake out while you do that.
Whoa, hey, this is a family show.
So many things on, but in order to do that, you have to give up something to take something on. And what I mean by that is that to keep a certain amount of inventory and not get overloaded, you got to give up something. And we finally got to the point to where we didn't want to give up anything anymore, and we liked what we had, and we were selling the stuff, and people seemed to like it. But we had tons of ideas of different designs, or I shouldn't say we, Brent. Brent had tons of designs for different things, and he came up with this thing. We need to build our own little online store and start selling those things through the online store only, so where we don't have to necessarily keep the inventory on. Like with me, I don't have to keep the inventory, and that was a huge thing for us. So now we've got a website that has an online store only that we really don't have any contact with that inventory. Well, we don't. It's not really about it. We don't have any contact with that inventory. You don't got to worry about it. Someone else does it.
That's what a lot of people do, that drop ship type stuff, and it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah, but
we wanted to make sure we kept the 100 plus products that we already stocked, including the different hooks. But what's nice for us is we get to, if people come up to us and they're like they can do with you guys now, and they're like, hey Robert, it'd be really cool if you did this, and this on a piece of ABS, and be like, oh cool. And by the time you go home that night, you can like design it, jump on the CNC, add the colors, and then make that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lot harder for us to do that as an apparel company.
Especially when you got people walking up to you and saying, when are you going to come out with something new, because I own everything you have.
Yeah, which also happened more than once. So when that happens, it was really tough for us. So I was like, well, now we have the ability for you guys to walk up and say, hey man, it'd be really cool if you did this. And I'd be like, all right, cool. Give me 20 minutes. I can jump on my laptop, design it, and make it for sale on the website. And you can order it the same afternoon. And then somebody else prints it and drops it straight to your house, right? So now, like, we have a lot more options, and we want to be able to make sure that we keep the customers happy, and we're able to like continuously offer new stuff and listen to the customers. And so for you guys and everybody else listening, like if you have ideas and you guys would really like to see something, let us know. Facebook, Instagram, email, through the website, whatever, on the chat. There's so many ways, but let us know, because we want to be able to offer what you guys want. Sure as shit, we don't want to offer stuff that nobody wants, right?
I know.
Because I had a bad joke there, but it's too soon.
Well, for instance, Brent, a great story is on what happened to us at Tinley. Harrison Wang, you guys know Harrison Wang?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So Harrison walks up, and we got the shirt that says, "You're the Mang." And I don't know if you guys have seen this shirt yet, but it's one of those shirts that we have that are only on the online only store. But it's the word Mang, behind the word Mang is the Mangshan Viper print. It's that
That's
kind
cool.
of camouflagey color. And Harrison walked in and says, "Oh, I thought it said you're the Wang." And so we came up with the idea, well, God, we can make a shirt for you right now that says, "I'm the Wang."
Is that like calling somebody a dick?
Well,
What's his last
it
name?
was
I know
Harrison
it is.
Wang,
I
but,
know.
you know.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I never thought about the fact that we could do that quick. You know, he just came up with the idea, and Brent said, "I could do it for you right now." And you know, it's really interesting that technology even exists for us, that we can do it like that.
Well, I think at one point, Brent, you and I talked about doing y'all doing like a short run, like a series of shirts, like with like, different artists and stuff. It'd be really cool to see like some of Adeline's work on shirts.
So
In the
yeah,
works.
so that's a thing that we're currently in the works of, and obviously I'm a huge fan of Adeline's work. I don't know if you guys can tell
I'll
behind
say I can see the gallery behind you.
me. and my whole other wall over here, and then a little bit more of this wall. Yeah, I'm pretty much a huge fan of her work. Yeah, so we are actually working on that with her as we speak, and so that is coming. But what I want to be able to do is make sure that a lot of the stuff we're doing, and just so everybody knows, we're going to be doing a lot more like limited stuff, because we've noticed, like we said, from day one, we've had kind of the same couple t-shirts, couple hats since February of 2019 when we first started Venom Life. And by the way, we still offer all of those things that we had that same day. But at the same time, you know, we understand and realize that people want more options, more colors, more whatever. But I'll be honest, being in the apparel industry is like one of the heaviest, most expensive games of roulette ever. Because you have no idea what the next person is going to want.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm going to make this in a long sleeve in red. Cool. But if they wanted it in black, now you have like 7 sizes, 4 or 5 of each size. You're looking at like, you know, $850 worth of inventory, and hope that people want to buy it. We've had situations where I was like, this is going to be a hit. We're going to kill it with this shirt. I'm super excited. And we couldn't fucking give it away, dude. Like, to the point where I'm not even joking, guys. When I say we couldn't give it away, we're like, if you buy one of these ladies' tanks, I'll give you one of these for free. They're like, no, I'll just take the tank that I paid for. Like I'm not even joking. We literally couldn't.
Dude.
And I thought it was going to be a hit.
These are really good in cages as substrate.
I have to tell them the story, Brent. Yeah, Brent is picking this thing. He says, women are going to go out of their minds over this shirt. I'm going, well, you know better than me, dude. I have no idea, but let's go ahead and get it. And literally, what do we have that last shirt for, Brent? A year and a half?
Oh, dude, we had like one shirt left for a year and a half, and I was like, I would rather use it to start a bonfire in my backyard than just hang on to it. Because like at this point, it's just costing us time and money. But I
Sean
mean,
Gray said there's going to be limited edition Herpes Venom Life Gear coming soon. That I'm looking forward to.
There is. So check this out. Yes, Sean, I will call you tomorrow. Yes, we are doing a licensing deal with Herps at the store, and yes, we are doing a limited edition shirt. We're also going to be doing some other cool stuff with Herps, like Venom Life Herps co-branded apparel in purple and green.
Good.
So
So I'm proud of everybody wearing black. Jesus Christ. You go to a reptile show and it's like 99% black shirts.
Yeah, we definitely want to get away from that for sure. That's why we didn't really choose a lot of our stuff being in black. But then you don't make anything in black, and people are like, hey, you got anything in black?
Yeah.
You know, so it's very difficult. And that's going back to what Brent said, you know, it's that whole gamble of what you do. And then it's not to mention the sizing, trying to pick out the right sizes to bring to anything, whether it be a show or whatever you're doing as an apparel business. I went to the Gettysburg show in Pennsylvania a couple months ago. Well, it was March. And I don't think I sold a single thing under 2X.
Sorry, guys.
The entire show.
Welcome back. Yeah, that's another thing with shirt companies. As a fat guy, I appreciate companies that have fat guy shirts, because it's very hard to find fat guy shirts.
So I got to tell you this funny story, but we had these white shirts that said Venom Life on the front of them, and they were the last ones. Those were one of the original ones, right, Brent? I think that the original designs, because we had the white shirts. But I think we had like, I don't know, 6 of them left. had a couple 3XLs and a couple 4XLs, and I literally was going up to people and saying, "Hey, man, what size are you? You look like a 3X. You look like a 4X."
That could
And
get
no one-
really dangerous really
Well,
quickly.
you look
I'm
fat.
just saying.
I know, and it worked out great. No one gave me a hard time about it, and I was able to give away all those shirts.
Well, that's my problem with
So-
white shirts is I will get it dirty in the first like 5 minutes, and then now it's got to stay
Our
on.
daughter refuses to wear white shirts. She will not wear white shirts. Which anyways, Tracy said her best sellers are black and dark gray. Max Hicks says that he loves the heather colors, and I do. A lot like that blue that
Yeah.
you're wearing right now
What
is
we
the
got right
heather.
here.
You've got the heather on. Yeah, the heather gray.
This-
Yeah, I love
like the
all of
lighter
the heather
grays.
colors. I
And
needed
Brent's so
paper
funny
for
'cause
my math
Brent's-
problem.
Brent is so against this color too. He says it reminds me of that stupid Gildan shirt. Because Brent used to be in the industry. Brent worked in the print industry, like doing screen printing and stuff like that. So he was exposed to all those different things and knew the different types of shirts. And that's also why we have some of those really nice tri-blend shirts and 50/50 shirts and ring spun cotton shirts. Until we had this business, I never owned a tri-blend shirt. I had no idea what the hell a tri-blend shirt was. And I didn't know what the big deal was. Well, now I know because I own them, and they're wonderful shirts. They're super soft. This is not a tri-blend, but we carry a couple of them, but they're super, super soft. And we get so many compliments from people or comments that saying, "Hey, we love your stuff because it just feels so good." And I have to agree. I mean, it is definitely a different feeling than just 100% cotton or even 50/50.
I hate putting on like with Gildan. Everybody always has the Gildan shirts. When they're very rigid. I don't like a very rigid t-shirt. I like the ones that are already really loose and everything. So that is a big thing. I know that people are like, it's just a t-shirt, but everyone knows like there's the t-shirts in your closet. You're like, that's the one I'm going to put on today because it's comfortable.
I wasn't that person.
God.
I could never tell a difference. I guess I don't know.
I am. I'm fat and sensitive, and I need nice sensitive shirts on me.
I just like stuff that fits.
Just stuff that doesn't show my stomach. That's what I'm aiming for.
Well, you're also so freakishly tall that's a little hard to do, man.
That is a problem. Like, I raise my hands and a lot of stuff. Like, I'll buy a shirt. I'm like, I love this shirt, and then I put it on. The first time I raise my hand, oh, there's my stomach. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I feel
Yeah,
your pain,
Brent
brother.
can't wear. Brent's a very thin guy. I think Brent's only like 145 pounds, maybe 150 pounds, but he has to wear a large because his torso is so long. And if he wears a medium, it's fine. But that large has to cover because as soon as he bends over, the shirt rises up and it's kind of a problem. So he has to wear that large.
Mm-hmm.
Max Hicks says he doesn't want a shirt that chafes his nipples. I agree, Max. I don't want a shirt that chafes your nipples.
Dude.
There you go. Yeah.
When I moved to Southern California for college, the first time I went to the beach, I wore a shirt in the water, and I learned why you don't do that out there because the water's in the upper 60s.
Yeah.
And your shirt gets salt water in it,
Yeah.
and then your nipples stay hard the whole time. And the next day, you're walking around like this.
Band-Aids can be your
Holy
friend.
Fuck, that's painful.
Yeah.
Chafed.
Yes.
So I told you we'd get back to it, and since Brent's having technical difficulties and is gone right now, let's talk about the hooks because everybody knows the shirts and the hats and all that, but the hooks y'all sell are made by you, not like you don't buy hooks and then sell them. Those are handmade by you.
I couldn't even tell you how many people have come up to us and said that. They're like, "Oh, you don't buy the hook end and put it together from somebody doesn't make the hook end?" No, I bend all the hooks and all that stuff. Yeah, everything that we sell is made by me. Now the shafts I don't make, obviously they're coming from somebody else. The grips I don't make, but the hook ends I make. I put everything together. Brent and I, a lot of times we go to shows, we bring hooks to put together at shows because I'm so busy building stuff and sending out orders and all that kind of stuff that we have to take the time while we're at the show, like the night before a show or 2 nights before the show, and we have to build them in the hotel rooms just because it's just that bad. We're just very, very busy these days. But yeah, everything is built by me. And a lot of these things, I don't know if you've ever been told the story by Brent, but a lot of the stuff that we make, when I first started making snake hooks, it was all because I worked at a Venom lab, cleaning cages to get my Venomous hours. I used to teach classes on envenomations for the fire department. And the hooks that Carl Barton had, I wanted those kind of hooks. He said, "Well, you can't buy these hooks. You have to make them yourself." So I went out and made tons of hooks just to get the right one that I wanted for myself. So these other prototype hooks, if you want to call them that, were still sitting around, and I said, anybody want a hook? I'll sell you one that I made. And that's how the whole thing started. But, it's funny because I was never a person that owned a lot of tools. And now I think I could probably fix any car, frame any house, do whatever you want to do because I have so many tools now because of all this business.
Well, I need to get one from you, a Steelers hook at some point, because that's the thing. They're hooks with like different NFL teams and all your baseball teams and all that stuff. And you can be very personalized.
And that was a fluke. There's a guy that I worked with that said, hey, why don't you guys do team theme hooks? And I go, what are you talking about? And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, you just want us to put different colors on a shaft? He goes, no, they actually make, team grips. And I was like, oh, well, cool. And so, of course, as soon as I heard that, I think I ordered like 30 of them like the very next day and started doing that. But that was definitely a big turning point for us as a business. But then people came to us, why don't you make smaller hooks? Why don't you make Python hooks? Why don't you make this? Why don't you make that? And so little by little, we got this huge assortment of hooks because we did just that. I never thought I would make probably 4 hooks is ever what I thought I would only make throughout the entire business. But now we're up to like something like 9, I think, or whatever it is.
I love the tub puller.
Oh, yeah, the tub puller. You have that one. You got that a lot.
I love the tub puller.
You know the story behind that, right?
Probably, but I don't remember.
There's a guy named George Emdy that's here. He lives over in the Daytona Beach area, but George Emdy's like 5'6", and he had a rack system that was so tall that whenever he used a hook to get the top tub out, it would slip off because that bevel end would just slide off the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And so George came to us and said, hey, I've got this idea for a tool. Would you make it for me? And so it was really easy to, figure out what he wanted done. And I took it to the guy that does all my welding, and he was able to weld it up, and we put it on the shaft, and that tool was born. And I told Brent that night when we gave it to him, we gave it to him in Daytona. And I said, well, that's the last thing we'll ever make of those. And then that night, George called me and said, hey, my buddy Rob wants one. And then like the next day, he says, hey, this guy Brandon wants one. And then the next day, someone else. And by the end of the month, I think we'd already sold like 30 of them. And Al Koritz, a guy named, he's Viper Keeper on YouTube. I gave one to him at a show one time, and he did a video, and he says, I can't believe it took someone this long to come up with a tool that is so able to be implemented in so many different things for cages. He was opening glass doors with it for venomous stuff. Obviously for any kind of venomous opening a rack with something, it's a huge thing because you're using a hook or you're using something else because you don't want to use your fingers. And so, after that video came out, I think we sold like 22 in the matter of a couple hours. And we've sold out of those things at shows that we go to. It's just a never-ending. I'm just amazed that they
I
still
can't hear
sell.
you guys.
People like them. Sorry, buddy.
Brent, I would say Brent, we can hear him, but
I really
great.
can't hear anything. I took my headphones off.
Hey, he restarted it.
You know what's funny, Woody, is that Brent was talking so much shit about you being the one that were going to have technical issues on how to use all this equipment. This shit doesn't work. That's what I love.
I like Max's response there. Max said it's rumored that Woody even has a 10mm socket
He's the
and knows where it is.
He's the only man who knows where that.
Wow.
That is the one everybody loses. That is insane. But to go back to the tub puller, it seems without ever using one, like, what the fuck do I need this for? Because some people just use their hook to pull it open. But you know that time you use your hook and then the hook slips out from underneath it, and then it's just a pain in the ass.
Believe me, the amount of people that have come up and said, why in the hell would you need that? And I said, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying, but we still sell shit out of it.
Brent has brought people over to my setup and had them open a rack with that thing, and then they end up buying it.
Yeah. Well, what's his Earl and Ren, Earl Jones. His wife Ren had back problems, and she said to me, thank God for this tool because I don't ever want to bend over and pull open a rack tub again. And so thank God we have it. And I thought to myself, wow, that's something I never thought about before. And then literally a week later, one of the guys, Jay Royal Balls, I think is his name, here in Florida, he hit me up for one because he had some back problems. So reaching lower tubs with a tool like that is, huge. Not
Well,
that
I'm
you
fat
can't
and
use the
lazy,
hook.
so
Not that you can't use
I
the
was
hook, but
thinking in
still.
my head, if you're fat and lazy,
fat
it
and
also
lazy. It
works.
comes in. I need to get one the next time I see y'all because I like I said, I've used Roberts here and there, and it's so much different than using a hook to pull it open. It's a wide piece of metal, so you get a better grip on the tub.
And we can make them wider too. We've had people that ask us to make them like 2 inches or 3 inches before because they're using them for large pythons that weigh a lot. So to have more surface area contact on that metal, I guess, is a better thing if you want to. We've had a couple of people do that. But I don't know if you guys know this, but Stoney's a friend of ours. He's our competition. But he's also a friend of ours. But we really thought it was. I don't know if you want to say it's funny, it's a compliment or whatever. Maybe it's just a compliment. But he started making those things.
Mm-hmm.
He's got them in different sizes than what we do, which I don't really understand that. He's got them in smaller sizes because I think he's more catering to people that do non-venomous stuff and they want smaller or shorter shafts. And if you have a small reptile room, you may need a shorter shaft. You can't use that real long shaft because you'll end up hitting the wall behind you or the racks behind you or whatever else. But he makes them just in smaller sizes.
Yeah, Stoney's shop is local to us, actually. He's only 30 minutes from here.
Yeah, close.
I do like his tongs.
Oh, I love the tongs.
Those things are amazing. But yeah, the tub puller, and I think it's one of those things that people don't think they need it until they use it. It's something that's so simple that and you can use it for that snake that every time you open the tub, it just fucking comes out at you. Because everyone's got that snake that when you're like, all right, really hope the snake's not near the opening when I open this tub.
Yeah.
That neonate hook
we have
make
people that
too
use
is
them for
another
their
one.
rat cages, just to check food and water without having to bend over.
Oh yeah. So that's an awesome one of those things that got added to. It's just kind of snuck its way into the hobby, and more people need to know about it. And you will when you go see them at shows, ask them about that the rack pulling device. Not really a hook, the rack pulling device. It's
called a
cool.
rack tool.
The rack tool.
Or a tub. People call them tub tools or whatever.
Or tub opener, or it gets called a concept.
Yeah. But the same thing with the neonate hook that we make too. That was made for somebody else. This guy, Mike. You guys know Mike Vesio? Lives in El Paso. This guy's known for probably having the most diverse collection of venomous snakes. He doesn't have the largest, like number-wise, but he has like spider tail vipers. I think he's the only one in the United States that has spider tail vipers. But he's just that kind of a breeder that has all these weird different things. But he asked us to come up with a hook because he was using a coat hanger as a hook. And he says, can you find something that you can make an actual hook of that's similar in size to a coat hanger? And we were able to find the shaft for it and make a hook. And Brent, I told you, right? I told that the night that we sold him 10 of those things. We'll never make any more of those again. And lo and behold, we sell a shit out of those things.
I think I have one of those too. Yeah, I'm fairly certain I got it from you guys. I bought that and the tub puller at the same time.
Yep.
Brent talked me into both of them.
Yeah,
and
lucky.
Both of them were like, what do I need these for? But now they're probably the two most used tools in the room.
Well, I think people underestimate a small hook. A small hook, like you don't just because you have an 8-foot boa doesn't mean you need a giant hook because you don't need to hook that snake and pull it out. The hook is for pull the tail towards you, let them know it's there, and then use your hands to get them out.
Right.
And so a small hook is I've got like 3 or 4 different size hooks in my snake room just because it depends on what I'm doing with it.
Well, I'll tell you a story. Do you guys know Matt Gambrell from Olympus Reptiles?
I know
the name.
Yeah. Matt said something one day to us. He says, I'll never put my hands in a snake tub again that I'm not certain is not going to bite me. Because he had a ball python that bit him. Ended up losing some teeth in his hand, and he picked the teeth out. And the snake ended up getting an infection from losing its teeth. So I think he ended up getting really bad stomatitis. He ended up treating it for like 2 weeks or whatever, the whole hydrogen peroxide rinses, antibiotics, the whole deal. And he said, it really is not that big of a deal that this snake got the infection or that I got bit by a snake and had to pull teeth out of my hand. He said, but what was significant about this situation was that if this had been a $200 snake, it would not even have made that big of a deal to him at all. This was almost a $3,000 snake. So, you think that it's a macho thing or whatever. Hey, I got bit by a snake, big deal, not that big of a deal. But, if you're looking at the potential for a snake to have an injury that's going to cause an infection, then maybe that's not the specific snake you want to be, doing that with. And I never
You
thought
can do
about
as much
it until
damage
you
to your
mentioned that.
snake from a bite as it can get from you. I mean, you have more bacteria in your arms than they do in their mouths. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that's-
real thing.
Well, we've talked about it here before. People, because Sean Gray makes fun of me all the time for wearing gloves. I just don't like getting bit. I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not one of those who's like,
Yeah, I'm with you.
just ignore it, get bit. I'm like, fuck that. I don't.
I'm
It
with you.
doesn't seem fun.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hey, the way I put it, man, you and I just have more nerve endings in our body parts. That's all it is.
That's one of the reasons I know that I'll never get a tattoo as much as I want a tattoo. Is I'm a fucking bitch when it comes to pain. Like it fucking hurts. So yeah, it's
Same.
unfortunate. I can't do pain.
Same. I hate tattoos.
I can tell. Fuck you. So anyways, there was I wanted to bring up our we did have a question this week that I posted and I wanted to bring it up. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about. It was, what do you think is going to be the next big pet reptile / amphibian in the hobby, and why? And y'all do a lot of shows, so you see a lot of what's out there. And so I want to go through what some of our people said. Drew Schulze said that if he knew, he would already have a ton of them and he wouldn't tell anybody.
Right.
So
Kind of what I was thinking. Fuck, if I knew that, I'd be. I think we're all kind of banking on that with what we all breed.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Well, you're seeing that more. You're definitely seeing that more now in the hobby. That as much as we shit on ball pythons because everybody has them, everybody also has like this one or two other things. They're like, really hope this is the one that's going to be it.
Yeah.
I need this to be that $1,000 snake.
Right.
But to be honest, if you're playing the odds, the ball python odd is the best odd.
I'm sure.
Mhm.
But then you have to own ball
Just throwing
pythons.
that out there.
Brittany Patchett said velociraptors. So that could be out there.
I'm gonna think that was facetious.
That's a solid answer.
What was your all's first snake you ever owned?
Mine was a what?
A hog nose.
Hognose. The first one I owned myself was a Brazilian rainbow boa. I do
And
remember
was your hognose wild caught or you bought it from somebody?
We bought it.
Okay.
I mean, I had rough earth snakes and Decay's brown snakes that I caught as a kid and kept for a few days and let go. But the first, snake that I considered a pet was a Western hognose.
Yeah, it's funny growing up, because I was big into reptiles since I was a little kid, and I always wanted just the oddball stuff. I really never was interested in having a ball python or a boa constrictor. It was like, I had flying snakes at one time. Those paradise flying snakes.
Oh, that's cool.
Tons of different garter snakes. I used to breed garter snakes from California and Oregon and stuff
Speaking
like
Tracy's
that.
language.
Those are just too smelly. I can't do garter snakes.
Yeah, that's kind of something. But yeah, they're but there's beautiful varieties of them. You show them to people that have no idea that they even exist. I'm like, oh my god, why isn't this in the pet trade? And
Yeah, the reds and blues on some of them.
well,
Crazy.
yeah, Infernalis. Might be able to show you a picture of one here if I can pull it up here. But it's absolutely amazing to me that people just don't want to work with some of those things just because they're so cool.
I want to hear what some more of these answers were.
John Feely said he thinks tree monitors or lace monitors because lace monitors are getting a big push. Oh, that is what those of you that can't see Woody is showing. That is an awesome looking.
Yeah, that's
garter
gorgeous.
snake.
The flame garter, yeah, and just shit like that's just incredible.
Lace mon, I don't, and I've said it before. I don't get the appeal to lace monitors. One, they're expensive as fuck. And I don't get it. But some of the tree monitors, I definitely think are awesome. Like the blue and the green and the black, like those little guys are awesome looking. They remind me of those little dinosaurs from Jurassic Park. And then Travis Wyman said, none of the shit he keeps because he hates all of us and wants them to stay as special projects. Although Travis just had some beak snake eggs.
Oh, cool.
No,
Rufus.
beak snake eggs.
Beaks.
Well, they laid 4.
If that's not right, he'll message us in a couple days.
No, I'm pretty sure it's not the kukris. It's the beak neck or beak neck.
Rufus
Beak
punctatus, is that
snakes.
right, Brent?
Big nose, Rufus.
Rufus punctatus, yeah.
They laid 4 eggs and he was all bummed because he candled them and couldn't see any veins. And we're all like, dude, give it a few days. So they put them in the incubator. A few days later, veins. So hopefully that pans out. That'd be really awesome.
Want to see what I picked up for $40 today?
Is it? Do you have to take penicillin to get rid of it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Look at this thing, dude.
Oh, that's a wine fridge. I'm a big old wine fridge.
fridge.
Nice new incubator.
Lady had it in her thing. It'll hold 18 6-quart tubs.
That's another weird thing about reptile people. We
Yeah.
look at shit and think of it in ways that no one else will ever think of that thing being used.
Lucas found it on a Facebook Marketplace yesterday. He's like, "Hey man, she wants $40 for this. Is that a good price?" I'm like, "When can we go get it?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we met her this morning at 9:00 at her house. Luckily, she's
Right.
10 minutes from the shop.
Because like that might not work as a wine fridge, but I can sure as shit make it into something.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's how I've got a wine fridge for brumating my snakes, and there's no way that thing, when someone built the wine fridge, ever thought someone's going to freeze snakes in this thing so they can make babies. But going back, let's see. Brandon Peace said carpets because NPR. NPR has definitely helped a lot for the carpet python popularity, having Morelia Python Radio. What are you typing, Brent?
Very furiously.
I'm sorry, man. Like
An angry email.
Well, to be clear, the reason I jumped off is like a legit family emergency. So I'm just
Oh,
trying
no.
to text my sisters right now.
I hope everything's all right.
So do I.
Chris
But I'm
Burns
still
said none in particular, but he thinks colubrids are becoming more popular. They are. Colubrids are definitely becoming
Absolutely.
more popular. That's because there's so many colubrids that people don't keep on a regular basis that are pretty cool if you want a snake that shits more than a boa.
Well, and that's what I was getting at too, is because there's just so many cool things out there that are not ball pythons and boa constrictors that I just don't know why you wouldn't want them, like mandarin rat snakes or, God, just so many different things that are out there. I can't even think of one on the top of my head. All those different Asian rat snakes are all cool. File snakes, those African file snakes, I just always wanted to have something like that. Just a cool big ass snake.
There
like
was,
that.
I saw someone on, I forget whose YouTube it was. It may have been Dave Kaufman or something else, but someone that does file snakes. And they're really pretty when you see them not imported and looking like shit.
Right. And I think another one, Musaranas, clearly of that genus. Those for a long time were in this country, but now very few people keep them. You can't find them very often. There's a couple different subspecies of them, but that's another just badass snake.
But I don't think Brett can hear us anymore.
No, I can.
Oh, okay.
It's just, my microphone's popping now. I don't know
It
what's
is.
going on. I've never had somebody pop. Like I've never had somebody technical difficulties.
God damn it. Yeah, I'll talk to you later about that. We'll figure out your technology stuff.
That's the universe kicking my ass for assuming you couldn't get into StreamYard.
You talk shit about Woody not being able to figure out computers, and now all
I
your
know.
stuff's like, fuck you.
And this is like my second phone tonight. I'm gonna have to go to my third phone soon. And to answer your original question, Brooke Elder says indigos. That's the next big thing in the hobby.
Oh, hopefully Texas, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know.
Rebos.
It definitely won't. I think it might be Crebos more than Indigos. They're easier to get a hold of. Brett, I'm going to mute you. Just unmute yourself whenever you want to talk.
No, I'm gonna call back in.
All right. Indigos are cool. I just always talk about how much they shit. I love Easterns, but I mean that's a legality thing and having enough permits. But the Texas Indigos are cool. They poop so damn much.
We're talking about snakes. I mean, obviously, there's more things that can be brought up in the hobby, and I'm amazed to this day still that there's that many different geckos that pop up, from different countries that people just all of a sudden just start working with. I guess it's just one of those things. Well, nobody's working with this. I'll work with it, or something like that.
And Stephen Poole just said Savus, which is funny because Savu pythons were in the hobby and they were treated like shit because they were just a dirt snake, and everybody's like, "Fuck that thing." And now, like Savus and Maclots and everything that you don't see all over the place anymore are big ticket items. People want them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Darren Watson said mangrove snakes.
Oh,
Mangroves are cool.
Yeah, that whole genus. I mean, Boiga, however you want to say it. It's just there's a lot of cool things that people keep for those. So yeah.
The only problem for Boiga is that it falls under the venomous stuff, and so that becomes an issue in some places where you can't own venomous, and whether it gets considered or doesn't get considered.
Sure.
But I definitely think colubrids, like corn snakes, have had a big uptick, which is nice. And again, it's all cyclical. I mean, because corn snakes were the big snake before ball pythons.
20-something babies right now that I can't take to a show this weekend now because
of mites. Shit sucks.
Yeah.
Where did you live? You said you live in Southern California, Robert?
I did, yes.
Well,
Did
California,
nobody make the joke about that might be a problem?
Fuck.
Yeah, I went to college in San Diego.
Okay. Well, if you go to Northern California, like into Oregon, there's these ringneck snakes. They're like this big. I mean, they're this like gunmetal gray, 20-inch snakes, 24-inch snakes. They're absolutely orange bellies, absolutely beautiful snakes. Super hard to feed because they eat probably little lizards and other snakes.
Yeah.
You know, but that's another species. It was just crazy. I'd love to own some of that, but just such a problematic snake to find food for.
That's also another thing that I think really there are some cool snakes out there, but if they don't eat mice or rats, we're just like,
Oh, no,
we can't really do
dude.
that.
I kept, if you know what shovel nose snakes are, did you ever go snake hunting in California when you were there, Robert?
No, I didn't.
So Anza
wouldn't.
Borrego, just east of there, there's all through that desert area, you find shovel nose snakes, and those are even into Arizona and Nevada. But you're talking about a beautiful snake, but they're insect eaters. I kept a 90-gallon aquarium. I think I had like a dozen of those things in there at one time that I brought back from California and Nevada and Arizona.
I could have told that lady this weekend at that. We did that little reptile thing, that little snake show thing Sunday morning, and a lady asked me if there were any snakes that would eat fruits and vegetables because she just couldn't feed rodents. And I was like, no, they're pretty much all obligate carnivores.
Well, but what's cool about garter snakes and even water snakes too is that you can take fillet of fish, fish fillet, and feed them that off tongs or whatever. So that's.
But if you feed them rodents that eat vegetables, then yes.
Yeah,
gut load them with bananas.
They are gut-loaded vegetarian mice.
Well, I think that broadband water snakes are one of the prettiest snakes out there, but it's a water snake, so it takes a different care than, also I don't like getting shit on and bit. The one snake that comes to mind that is very hard, that you can't keep in captivity, that everybody would love to keep if you could, is mud snakes.
Yeah.
Mud snakes are fucking amazing, but we can't all feed salamanders.
Did you see where I went to someone's house? They had 3 of them in a bedroom.
Oh shit.
3 little babies like this big. Yeah.
Really?
I only was able to catch one of them, but there was 3 in there. I couldn't find the other 2, but that's just crazy.
They're one of the prettiest snakes we have in North America. Temperament wise, they'd make an amazing pet because they don't want to bite, but they fucking eat salamanders, and we just can't. We can't get a whole bunch of salamanders to feed them.
And I don't even know if you can feed them. I don't know where, like maybe in Alabama or Mississippi, that they'll change their food, but they're pretty much obligate amphibian eaters and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a real problem. We gave that snake to Mary Sydney Burnish, and so she says that she's feeding it right now, although I don't exactly know what she's feeding it. So
John Felix says Alterna should be more popular. Alterna will never be. The Alterna are popular in certain circles, but they will never be more popular than they are because of the way I think they are in the hobby. They are super locale specific, which turns off a lot of people because you really get fussed at if you have 2 different locales, because one's on this side of the highway and one's on that side of the highway, and then you bred them together. And so the Alterna people have made Alterna not be popular. I feel like Rosy Boa people have kind of gone that way too. Rosy Boas are another one that's it's a really locale driven thing. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with locales. If that is your thing, go feed into it. But maybe don't fucking shit down people's throats because they bred 2 of the exact same species together. They just happen to live on 2 different sides of a rock.
All right. Those Harquahela Mountain Rosy Boas are absolutely beautiful in my opinion.
Yes.
They're really cool.
Well, there's
the ones in Anza Borrego. Those are cool.
One I would like to see is like your Arizona or your California Mountain Kings. We have an Arizona Mountain King that is, I think, just about the most beautiful snake in our collection. And I've been looking for a female for 6 months and can't find one because just nobody has them. Man, they're easy keepers. They get to be an impressive enough size. Yeah. And they're freaking gorgeous. But nobody has them. And they're a king, so they'll eat anything.
Yeah, you just don't see any people keep, like, Bob, you guys know Bob Applegate, right? You know who that is? Bob used to have all those kind of weird tricolored snakes, all those different tricolors from California and into Mexico. But I don't know anybody that's keeping them at that kind of volume anymore.
Yeah.
Well, because colubrids before ball pythons took off in the early 2000s, colubrids were the thing that a lot of people had. And so you saw a lot more of those kings and stuff.
Yeah.
But you don't see them now.
Max says maybe if somebody had something other than a Sanderson locale.
Of the
Alterna.
Yeah.
Mine's I can't remember what she is.
You gotta make sure you know what side of the highway, what cactus.
Because I've never been able to find a match for her.
Like I said, that turns people off the way that stuff gets done.
Yeah, Craig Trumbauer had this Christmas Mountain Alterna.
Those are cool.
While, yeah.
So I do want to ask you a few things because it is Hottoberfest, and we kind of skip past some of the.
There you go. Yeah.
I know you worked when you were younger in a Venomous lab. You kind of worked to get like hours and all. I'd like to hear
this
more.
Wasn't that much long. This wasn't that long ago. I was teaching classes for envenomations. When I worked for the fire department, people found out that I knew something about envenomations, and so you basically become the expert, you know, in that kind of stuff. And so I did a lot of research on it and learned more. And you know, Brent and I actually became good friends with the people from Venom One, Jeff Fobb, who we just spent a couple days with at the Denver Venom Conference, Lisa Wood, Scott Mullen. They kind of took us in and let us ride along with them for a little bit. But, you know, other than that, you know, I was doing my own thing. But yeah, I worked for Carl Barden. I was getting my hours through him at the Med Toxin Venom Labs here in DeLand, Florida. He's 30 minutes away from me. And which is interesting that when you think about the fact there was only like 8 Venom Labs in the country, and 3 of them were in Florida, and I had 2 of them within 30 minutes of my front door. You know, actually, there's more than that, because Jack Vicente's facility too. His is just smaller, but there was 4 Venom Labs, 3 of which were like, you know, 30 minutes from my front door.
Which one's the one? Is Jack Vicente the one that does corals?
Yep. And that's what I mean. If you ever could, and Brent will tell you too. I mean, I've learned some stuff about Jack Vicente in the last couple of years that I really never even knew any of the stories about how his beginning started with Bill Haas down in Miami at the Reptile.
Oh, cool.
The Miami Serpentarium, and then, you know, George Van Horn that owns Reptile World here in St. Cloud. Him and Jack were under Bill Haas, and they were working for him. And that's when Bill left and got a degree in biology, and then started doing work with venom, and started harvesting venom to sell to different places like universities, or I think he was part of the North American Venom Project for Wyeth Ahurst back then, the company that was making the polyvalent antivenin that was a horse-made antivenin back then. That was before Crofab. But I think he was one of the very first people that was doing that back in the 70s.
Yeah, we talked about, so we make jokes about Florida Man earlier. There's definitely Florida Man injects venom into body over several decades.
Yeah.
And we go like that's definitely a Florida Man story, and it's an impressive one, but it's also one that I think people should not try and do again.
Yeah.
Like, please don't try and do that again.
Well, you got Tim Freed. What's it, Tim Freed? Is that his name?
Yeah.
In Wisconsin? Yeah.
We tend to not support the SI guys, which is short for self-immunizers. Yeah. Tim's another one that's doing it now. But everybody thinks that because one guy was able to do it, that it's going to work for everybody. And it's like, no, like one guy can also crash a Lamborghini to 100 miles an hour. It doesn't mean the next guy can. Like, it doesn't make it a good idea. You know what I mean?
Also doesn't mean all of his body. I mean, he lived to be pretty ill, but I mean, you go to some of those places and like their fingers don't all work very well.
Right.
Like I went to one place when we went on honeymoon. It was somewhere around Orlando. There was a roadside attraction, but you could definitely tell the dude that worked there because he had like 7 fingers. And I was like, yeah, this motherfucker, because they had the big window where you can watch the milk.
You're a lot of things, bro, and a shop teacher is not one of them.
But so what all did you do while you were helping them out at the Venom Lab?
Clean cages. That's really about it. I mean,
free handling cobras look cool.
Yeah, feeding, watering, all that kind of stuff. You know, and Carl, of course, I don't know if you know Carl Barden, but Carl Barden was a pilot for Delta for like 20 something years. And that was the whole idea, it was him making money for being a pilot and saving some so he could start this facility. That was his dream. You know, he wanted to have a piece of property, we could start a facility on it. And he did just that. And the guy's got like, I don't know, 1,300 venomous snakes in that building, you know, and it's a lot of work. I mean, I knew it was a lot of work going on there, but you really just don't realize how much time and effort it takes. I mean, first of all, it's not like cleaning a non-venomous collection. You know, you're working with these animals that large ones are really problematic. You know, big Eastern Diamondbacks that can just launch themselves at you, which I've had happen. You know, thought I was getting bit a couple times, you know, while working there because they were just so big and they were coming after you. You just thought they were going to nail you. And it takes a lot of, in Carl's own words, it takes a lot of attention and focus to work with this stuff. He has a little thing that he wanted us to go through every morning. You know, if you felt sick, he didn't want you there. If you just broke up with your girlfriend the night before, you didn't want you there.
Yeah, anything that would take
all those different things.
Anything that takes your attention from what you're doing.
Right. Exactly. So that was it. And then I got my hours there, and I was actually keeping native venomous stuff to take to classes with me. And then finally, got my hours. And then I shortly after that, I really didn't do that many classes. I haven't done a venomous animal class in a long time.
See,
A few years.
as much as I don't like more regulation, I wish Texas regulated venomous the way that Florida does. Well, that there was a licensing process where you had to show competency to be able to keep them.
Yeah, and even in Carl's own words, and some of the people that he's worked with, they want to come up with a structured educational class that deals with handling venomous husbandry and all these different things associated with it, but they don't want it to be something that takes you 2 years to get, because in Florida, if you can take a test from the Florida Fish and Game, and as long as you pass that test with an 85% or better, I believe that's the score. I got like a 90, but if you can pass that test, they'll reduce your hours per family by 500 hours.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
But 500 hours, I mean, even if you work a full-time job and you want to go on a Saturday, that's 2 years. That's 2 years of Saturdays. That's what it took me, and then you really don't even get into any kind of a lapid until closer to the end of that. You finally start working with cobras and some other things, but, you're probably talking 4 years before you could ever legally own all the common stuff.
At 1,000 hours per family. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's good though, because
if that's even worse if it's 1,000 hours. Yeah,
it shows that you're dedicated.
Well,
and it shows that you're not just going to go buy a Gaboon Viper and throw it in a glass tank.
I think the perfect thing is somewhere in between that and non-regulation. There's some middle ground in there.
Sure,
that is probably the perfect thing.
We've actually been working hard on that, and we're hoping that it's next year. But through the Venom Institute, we've been working on a nationally recognized, but not overseen by any agency, but recognized by all agencies. Basically, competency,
the
credentialism. Yeah, curriculum that says basically you don't have to get it, but the people who want to keep responsibly now have a place to go do it. Because that's one of the biggest problems we have is people who want to keep venomous. A lot of them want to do it responsibly, but they have no fucking idea where to go start. And if you want to do anything professionally in venomous, if you don't learn from one of the better guys who have already done it, let's face it, in the venomous community, there's only a handful of us that do it professionally, right? We all pretty much know each other. So if somebody wants to go work at a venom lab, they're going to call around and say, hey, have you ever heard of this guy? Hey, have you ever heard of this guy? And if we all say no or stay away from that guy, that dude doesn't have a job in professional venom anywhere, even if he's good. So it's a very tight-knit community. So you have to train with the best of the best. And I think that that's a good thing. But I think it's a beautiful animal that deserves a lot of respect, that I think more people should be able to do it, because I know a lot of really competent people who should be able to have these animals. Yeah. I also know a lot of complete fucking idiots who have them that should not be allowed anywhere near them.
Yeah. Brent and I have a big thing that we do whenever we go to different shows and talk to people, and they tell us that they keep HOTS.
Yes.
And one of the first
I call it a litmus test.
The litmus test, yeah. But one of the very first questions we ask them, they'll tell us, I keep a Gaboon, I keep a monocle, I keep whatever it is.
2 spitting cobras, a mamba.
Exotic stuff, yeah. Oh, black and whites, yeah, black and whites.
Jesus.
And the very first question I says, okay, well, if you get bit by that snake, where is your antivenom coming from? Because the answer we're looking for is that you've done some research at least, and you know where your closest source is, even if it's the Miami-Dade Antivenom Response Team. You know where it's coming from. So you don't got to wait on, a toxicologist from poison control getting on the phone with an ER physician and trying to track this stuff down. You can already call someone and say, well, or tell the physician, I know where the local closest stock of this stuff is. And it's going to be this person, this zoo, something.
Just general protocols, have a plan.
Yeah. And it's absolutely amazing how many people do not have that. I did a talk at the Midwest Venom Fest back in April about this specific thing, and the talk was called "You've Been Envenomated, Now What?" And that was the whole thing: is you got to have some kind of a plan already established before that happens. And people said, "Well, what do I got to worry about? The hospital's going to take care of that." There's 2 people we know of right now one guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but one guy in Pennsylvania, I think he had to go to the hospital in New York, but he was given a venom. He got bit by a black and white spitter, a Southeast Asian spitting cobra. He was given an antivenom for an African species, which there is no real crossover treatment for that. There's nothing that's in that antivenom that's going to really help him. We don't know whether it was the toxicologist that did it wrong, like said the wrong name, or if it was the zoo it came from that grabbed the wrong stuff or thought it was what they wanted. Whether they heard the wrong species, I don't know. But again, this guy got an antivenom that was not the right stuff. And so I don't really know how much he knew about it, but all I know is if you bring me antivenom that's in a bag that's already mixed up, I'm going to ask you what the antivenom is. And if they say, well, this is Cymer it's an African polyvalent, well, don't give me that antivenom because it's not what we need. It's not going to work for me.
For sure. But we know that. And here's the other problem.
Is if you're just a general keeper, that is an easy thing to
learn. But
that's
here's a big problem. Here's a big problem. We had the story of the kid, another northern state that was bit by a Cayuthia. That yes, that was bit a couple years by a Cayuthia. He was 20 some years old and diabetic and put into a medically induced coma. And his girlfriend answered the questions. So you can know whatever you want. The problem is all she said is it's a cobra. Poison control did their job, got him a cobra polyvalent. He got Cymer. It was an Indian cobra. And it was 18 and a half hours before he got the right antivenom. And that was nobody's fault. It was a lack of good protocol. And what's worse is he actually did due diligence and had the common name and the scientific name all written on the cage. And he told his girlfriend what it was. He told his girlfriend what to say. But in the panic and him not being competent at the time, accidents happen. So there's so many good things you can do to have really good protocols to where we can eliminate stuff like that. And, nothing Chris said was wrong, 100%. But we can go in and say, I'm not doing that. What's better is to have a snakebite doctor on call who you trust, who knows if something happens to you, he's getting the call, and let him make all the decisions for you in the case that you're not capable of answering questions. Right?
And a lot of that problem can easily be taken care of by a simple binder.
Yeah.
Like all that information needs to be in something you can take with you to the hospital.
Yeah. Again, protocols.
Yeah.
Good protocols. That's exactly right. So good protocols. So another thing that, and even Chris over the winter is going to be working with us as well, over at the Venom Institute, to be able to say, like, this is what a good protocol is. This is what you should have. And that's part of the training and the research, that has to be done beforehand. But when it comes down to like being able to own certain animals, yeah, we support USARC. We think that we should have a right to have certain animals. Of course, at the same time, like we've alluded to, there's a lot of people who have crazy shit that they probably shouldn't have, that have no idea what they're doing and have no business having those animals. Like they'd probably be safer with a tiger in their backyard than they are with some of these animals, to be honest. And, we can't control that. And to be honest, man, it's hard for me because half of me is like, Darwinism wins in the end. But at the same time,
but it fucks us over while that happens.
But at the same time, it makes all of us who want to do a good job and try every single day to do the best job we can to be responsible and educate people really fucking hard. It's that.
Brent, listen to this. I'm sorry, man. Matt says he has a printed protocol in his snake room. It's just an 8.5 by 11 picture of Spencer Green that says, call him.
Yeah. But you know what? You know what's not funny about that is that's probably 60% better than a lot of fucking people.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we had him on. So we had him on last week, and we posted the question before him coming on, and we didn't tell anybody it was Dr. Spencer Green. But we said, "Hey, what would you do if you get bit by a venomous snake?" And like half the people responded, "I'd call Dr. Spencer Green."
I'm heading to Kingwood. Yeah.
Yeah, but what? I mean, that guy, he already has a bunch of jobs, and he only gets paid for some of them. Like, and you want him to work extra hard, and he doesn't even know who you are. Like, take your time to like say, hey, this is who I am. This is where I live. This is what, like, take your time to get to know your doctor. Have a snake bite doctor, man. Mm-hmm. And listen, there's only a few of them who are really good at what they do. There's a handful of them in the U.S. And Chris and I work with all of them, and or know all of them, right? One or the other. And they're not going to work with every single keeper that has every single animal, for sure. So if you want to be one of the people that they're willing to take that call for at 3:00 in the morning, that's where we need something to separate the men from the boys.
Right.
Right.
Well,
and that's where
Carl,
back to full circle about like having some sort of a DVL protocol, hours, certificate, something that's nationally recognized, but not held down by states or counties or cities or the feds, I think is super important. And that's what we've been working on for a while now with the Venom Institute, to make sure that that's available to people who want to keep responsibly, give them somewhere to go to get that information.
you know, Carl has his own physician at the local ER that he lives near, but that's a relationship that he's made with this guy for years. And, you know, they have the staff from the ER that come out to his place to discuss all the stuff that he's, you know, been bitten by and the problems he's had. The guy's been bitten by he's had 11 envenomations. I think he's been bitten by all the mambas, a couple cobras, Eastern diamondback bite to the face.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Damn.
You know, a lot of bad stuff. And he's got as far as I know, he has no deficits other than the fact that he is highly allergic to venom because, you know, all the venom that he works with gets aerosolized in his facility. So he breathes that shit in all the time. You know, and for anybody that works at Venomous, if you have snakes that, you know, leave venom on glass or anywhere else, if it breaks down over time and it becomes dust that aerosolizes in the air, you can breathe that in and be eventually hypersensitive to it. And that's exactly where he is right now. So if you work with Venomous, that's a big problem that a lot of keepers
huge
have.
risk. And they just don't, a lot of people don't consider that because they don't understand the biology behind it, right? We don't know a lot about allergies, like even doctors, right? We know that there's H1 and H2. We know that overexposure, underexposure to certain things histamines, the H1 and H2 histamines. We know that overexposure and underexposure can cause allergies and really not a lot else. But we do know that overexposure or underexposure to anything can cause that. And so anybody who's worked with Venomous for a long time knows that the more you work with them and it is aerosolized, you're working in tubes and glass and tongs and everything else, the more you breathe it in, the higher potential for that. The more bites you get, the higher potential for that. And there's a chance that you can work with venomous snakes for long enough with no bites, and your first bite is barely a scratch on the hand. It happened to one of my friends and colleagues at the Denver Zoo, that he was barely scratched, and he went into anaphylaxis in 7 minutes.
Damn.
Like died twice.
Wow.
And, you know, he had to be resuscitated on the ground and then again in the flight for life. We also know a lot of people who were fine the first 3 bites, and then the fourth one they went into anaphylaxis. We also know people who have had allergic reactions to antivenom back in the day, before they did, you know, the new antivenoms. That's really not as much of a problem. But I would take my chances over anaphylaxis in a hospital than, you know, envenomation problems, because that's a very treatable thing. Anaphylaxis is in general. So there's just a lot to know about that kind of stuff that people are just like, oh, well, I have this stuff and there's a zoo down the street and a hospital 3 blocks past that, so I'm totally cool. And like, what people need to understand is there's so much more that's involved in envenomation and keeping dangerous animals that goes into it than just assuming the people down the street. Not to mention, if the zoo does have to give up that antivenom, now while they're waiting for a restock, first of all, rarely, if ever, are they actually paid back, but the keepers aren't protected in the meantime, and it comes out of their budget.
Right.
Like, other people's lives are at risk. And so, but these people are like, well, I don't care because I got 16 new followers on fucking Instagram by doing it. So it's not a big deal. Like, and that's the selfish kind of shit that really, really gets us, man.
Well, and if it's, someone told me, and it could have been complete bullshit, that if a zoo gives antivenom to someone and it's not one of the antivenoms that's FDA approved, they can't be paid for it.
I have no idea about that.
So what antivenom do zoos carry that aren't FDA approved?
I don't know.
Well, there's lots of them that are from.
Well, I get that's fair. And in the Thai Red Cross and stuff. Okay, that's fair.
Look at Bioclone, and also
not
RDT
FDA,
stuff, right?
not US certified stuff.
The RDT stuff just got passed. That was April that it just got passed for cottonmouth bites or copperhead bites.
No, the copperheads, yeah. No, you're right.
So
Okay. When I was
the
thinking FDA, I was thinking that they could keep it in the U.S. Never mind.
The reason that came up is the guy who got bitten by the green mamba, and then ended
Chris?
up his snake got away, and all that shit happened in Carolina.
Yeah.
It came up whenever he got bitten, and the zoo gave him anti-venom. Somebody asked him, "Are you paying the zoo back?" And he commented and said, "I tried to, but they won't." They said they can't accept the money because the anti-venom that they gave is not FDA approved, so they can't be paid for it.
He could be absolutely correct. I've just never heard of that, and I guess Brent hasn't either. I don't know nothing about that.
Honestly, I even having worked in a zoo and having actually been consulting on that case in particular firsthand, I don't know. I honestly don't know how that works. I mean, the reality is people don't pay zoos back. That's the reality. Like, I also know a lot of other stuff about this situation that makes me believe that probably may or may not be true.
Gotcha.
Probably not true.
Well, he hasn't proven to be the most
the best track record.
Yeah, have the best track record. With,
yeah, Chris though, when we talked to him, he was in that talk I was giving in the Midwest Venom Fest, and he spoke up and talked about his bite to people there in that class. But it was interesting because Chris really got a firsthand look at just how dangerous those snakes are, and he'll tell you he had no idea how close to death he was because he felt it. You know, he felt how, you know, his breathing was becoming labored. He felt just how sick he was and realized that he was on the verge of death from that envenomation. And he said, I gained a huge amount of respect for venomous animals after that. And he really questioned whether or not he was going to be keeping anything anymore. And so, yeah, I think that's the problem, is that people there's a lot of complacency with people that keep venomous. They don't think it's going to happen to them.
So I met a guy at a show recently, not a herp show, who was buying. He had an Atrox and he had a Lepidus that he bought at the show, and I was sitting out front waiting for a customer to pick up their rack, and we started talking, and he told me that he had gotten his first venomous snake about 8 months before, and that it was, of course, like a boom viper, but that he had just gotten a black mamba and was scared of it. And was scared to death of it. He said, I got it out and it got away from me in my bedroom, and I had to dig it out from under the bed. And the whole time it's trying to bite me. And he's like, I'm going to get it out again when I get home and try and work with it some more.
Dude, yeah. No, that's definitely something you need a mentor for, because those things, especially, I mean, you know, when you're feeding something like that and you have to be in the opposite side of the glass, if it's a glass enclosure and you're on the opposite side of the glass because you don't want them coming straight out at you, you know, and that just, to me, that just speaks volumes about how dangerous that snake is. You know, it's a real problem.
Right.
I mean, there's like less than 10% of the world's fastest people can outrun that animal.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Consider that. Like, if you're not from like Ghana, you have a 0% chance of outrunning that thing.
Right.
So, like, I'm just throwing that out there like that.
Right.
I mean, that's a super dangerous animal. Not to mention, like, you know, when you're talking, they get 10, 12, 15 feet long. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, that just over 12, but it's still over 12 feet, man. That's a lot of animals.
Well, it's like we talked about last week on the episode when we went to Cody and Pia's place in Florida. They have big ass black mambas.
Oh yeah,
and it's just a scary snake to look at. Like we said before, if we're used to something like ball pythons, like my sand boas, they're fucking retarded. Okay,
yeah.
They're not thinking on a higher level. But when you look at
these
thing
things
like
are
that,
smart as shit.
Oh yeah, and people may not believe it, but I'm telling you, if you ever look into the eyes of a full-grown black mamba, you'll go,
"Well, I remember
this thing's thinking."
Joe Challoner took a Western green home from Conroe last year to test out that new arboreal cage that he built, and I asked him a little while later. I said, "How long did it take that green to figure out where the food door was?" He said, "1 time."
Yep.
He said, I fed it 1 time, and it knew the next time it saw me coming with a rat, it was straight at that food door at the top. He said it blew my mind that thing figured it out that quick.
They're super smart, man. Like, pretty much almost all the elapids, right? The mambas, but even the cobras, man. Like, most of the Cayutias, especially the white ones, they're pretty inbred, so they're like more bluff strike than anything. But like you talk most of the elapids, man. Any of the cobras or mambas, like they're smart as hell. And if you ever worked with them, dealt with them, or like you said, even just looked into their eyes, you can totally see that they're thinking, man. Those wheels are turning, and you can see it. And it's crazy, man. Like it's a nuts thing to work with those animals. So that's you gotta have a lot of experience with a good mentor before you start messing with animals like that, in my opinion.
Those are nothing. I mean, cobras and mambas are nothing that I ever wanted to work with. I mean, it's just, I like my fingers. You know, I don't want to give up to some cobra that's going to totally screw up my hand. There was someone that worked for Carl that got bit by a Chinese cobra, Atra, there, and that person had like 3 surgeries on their hand. And I still don't think they have full function back. But I mean, I don't want that.
No,
give me big, fat, lazy vipers.
Yeah, and not to mention, you know, what that venom does neurologically. I mean, if you have nerve damage, I guess you would say, or if you have nerve function damage, like, you know, stuff that antivenom cannot fix, because once binding takes place on either post-symptomatic or pre-symptomatic, you know, receptors, a lot of times those things don't work anymore. Like if you have something, you know what ptosis is? You see people that got bit by elapids or something that has neurotoxin.
Particularly mambas, yeah.
You know, it basically stops the functioning of certain muscles, and these little muscles that control your eyelids stop working first. It's like a head to toe thing.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
What happens is your eyelids just droop. They don't want to work anymore. And you look like you smoked a big fatty. That'll get a good rise out of you. So anyway, but that's something that, you know, you may not ever get back. You may walk around looking like that for the rest of your life. You may walk around having, you know, blurred vision. You may walk around having slurred speech. I mean, there's all those kind of potential things. Ben Abo, one of the physicians here that we deal with, he's one of the other Venom Institute or Venom Asclepias Snakebite Foundation physicians. He talks about a little 7-year-old kid having ptosis and not having any antivenom given to him, and then finally getting antivenom. But it took 7 months for that little kid to get his muscles to work again, his eyelids. Adults would have never got that back. We'd have looked like that the rest of our lives.
He said if that kid was in his 20s, he never would have got it back. The fact that his brain was continuously regrowing and you know, reproducing cells and creating new synapses, that was what led to him being able to have that back. If he was in his 20s and had the same bite, he never would have got that back. You know, and that's another thing too. Like when you mentioned big fat lazy vipers, one of the most common household go-to venomous these days, like, you know, Cayutia, you know, monocle cobras, that's kind of like the garter snakes of the venomous world. You know, everybody has them, everybody gets them, everybody breeds them. You can't even find normals anymore. If you ordered 15 of them online, you'll get 2 normals if you're lucky. So like they're just all, you know, like the ball pythons of the venomous world. But people talk about big lazy vipers, gaboon vipers. I know so many people that are like, yeah, I have venomous snakes, and the first thing they name off
Gaboons. Yeah.
Gaboons, man. And one of the things about that is people think big, slow, lazy vipers. They look like slugs. Not only do they have one of the fastest strikes in all of the viparrid world, but they're one of the only snakes in the world that can strike 180 degrees backwards and over their own head, over their own tail.
Man, this is not helping your case.
No, but see, no, look,
In reality, though, the only reason that I can 100% say that I would be comfortable with him one day getting something venomous is because of his background at the zoo. 100%. And because he did it. Now, with that being said, without a tail, the scariest day ever for me, and I knew it was fake, was the day that they did a snake bite drill, and he was the one that was calling it in. Like the director called me on the phone in my office 10 minutes before it happened and was like, hey, they're about to do a drill. I need you to know so you don't panic. Because we were married.
And our snake bite protocol for the gaboon was don't get bit because we didn't have antivenom.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you worked at the zoo.
Before we were teachers, I ran the education department. He was a reptile keeper. So
he had to quit because he kept animals with no antivenom.
So after I left, the AZA was like, guys, you can't have the snake. So they sent it to another zoo. They now have it back because now they have antivenom. I was like, you bunch of pussies. When I was there, it was don't get bit.
It was our media specialist comes running in my office and she's like, let's go. We're going to the hospital. We're going to meet him there. She's like dragging me out the door. And I'm like, wait, what's our protocol? What are we supposed to do when a snake gets loose? And I'm like trying to remember, like, okay, wait, you can't just drop what you're doing to take me to the hospital. And she was like, you were too calm. I should have known it was a drill.
Well, and when I say big, fat, lazy vipers, the difference is I know where a gaboon viper can reach.
100%.
Something like a cobra or a mamba can come to me. Like it can close the distance. Whereas
you're right.
The viper are like I love and I really want an Eastern Diamondback, but they're gonna hold their ground. They're not gonna come after, and that's not something I have to worry about.
Let me tell you something. I pulled 3 of them, but there was actually 4 of them that we just removed from somebody's property about
same property.
15 miles from me. Same property, same 20-foot space in front of their house. But those things were all 5-foot snakes. And let me tell you something. When you're dealing with now it's not an enclosure, like you're not working out of a rack system or a cage, but man, walking into a bunch of saw palmetto bushes and other overgrown stuff and trying to get those things out, that was scary shit. I mean, really for me.
I've told the story here several times.
Chaps somewhere in the whole deal. Like the gaiters I had on and then everything else too. But I mean, that's
yeah, but a 5 or 6 foot Diamondback can reach above your knee.
Well, exactly. But I'm just saying,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's that much more dangerous.
It's scary. It's scary as hell, and it's super dangerous.
Well, and I've told the story several times on here before, but I'll say it again. I went to go remove a copperhead from someone's property, and a copperhead turned into 4. There was a 5th one.
There were 5, and there were 5. We caught 5. There was the 6th one that we couldn't find.
So
and one was in a fucking tree.
It was like 7 foot in a tree. I was about to walk into the tree line to go look for him, and I was like, hold up. And I looked up, and there it was at eye level. I was like, fuck. I looked up to think, hey, it could be in a tree. But I was not prepared. I had 1 tub, I had a hook and tongs. I was prepared for 1 copperhead. And so it became a game of like, Katie would have to lift the lid, and I have to try to put them in there and try to get the other ones.
Fucking whack-a-mole.
By the time we got to the 5th one, I was like, we're done. We're done. If there's another one, it gets to stay here because I'm not opening this lid again. Once I open the lid, they fucking realize, we can get out.
The back of my SUV smelled awful after having that. They were
smelled
all
like cat piss for weeks.
God, it was awful.
Yeah, all those Achistrodon have those weird musk smells to them. Yeah.
Well, it smells like cat pee.
And when you talk walking into dealing with like the Diamondbacks, our Gaboon exhibit at the zoo was actually a giant room set up like an African tent. Like an African,
like a
science, like he had died while writing information on the chalkboard.
Like the last word was bite can be fatal, and the L.
Like, I call it the Slowinski exhibit or what?
So, but you had to walk in, and it's on the floor. And so, when they brought it back from the zoo that it was at, it apparently ate very well because when it came back, and I went to visit the zoo again, it went from being like a 4.5 foot.
Well, you had to force feed that snake at one point.
We had to force feed. We gave it fluids until it decided not to starve to death and decided to eat. But when I came back, it was now like almost 6 foot and as big around as like a 2-liter Coke bottle. I was like, you have to walk in there with this thing, and it's just on the floor. And so it's an interesting, like when we first got it, it wouldn't eat, and we'd have to go in and catch it and tube it and give it injections. That'll pucker your asshole up a little bit when it starts huffing and puffing at you, and it's right there at your feet.
Yeah, and they're no joke, man. And to be clear, when I brought it up earlier about big lazy vipers, I wouldn't say anything about you not knowing.
No, I know.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I'm just saying, like, to be clear for everybody listening, like they look big and lazy and slow slugs.
Yeah,
they are not.
They're a fort.
Some dude that kept
incredibly fast.
Well, some guy that kept a blood python probably goes, "Oh, I can do a gaboon."
I just like to give him shit because he wants a venomous snake so bad. Not anytime soon.
As soon as I move. All right, so we have gone over 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
Not bad though.
No, not bad.
I missed freaking half of it because of math homework.
Other things I'd like to talk about, so we're definitely having y'all back on at some point.
I missed half of it too, so we're gonna have to do this again.
You know who didn't? Woody didn't miss anything. He was here early. His shit never messed up. He was great.
You definitely get like one of the most prepared guests awards.
I had a great mentor.
Yeah.
Who couldn't follow his own advice.
I love it.
But one thing I do want to bring up is our giveaway this month because it is sponsored by you guys. And I got to say to anybody listening and to the 10 that are still listening, please go try and win this. Like right now, only because Brent gave us 3 questions that I think people should try to have to answer to get it. And I like that idea. But it just proved how lazy motherfuckers are. Because if it was simply comment on this, we'd have like 40 comments.
Yeah.
But because it's like, hey, just take 10 seconds to go research these 3 questions and then post those on here, we have 2. So
part of the purpose of that is if you can't take your time to do 3 questions, you certainly don't deserve to do. You're certainly not going to do enough research to own venomous snakes.
Oh, no way. So if you are listening right now, go to our Facebook page of the Reptile Gumbo podcast, click on it, research those 3 questions for it's less than a minute, answer them, and you can win this amazing Venom Life mandala made by our friends over at Crafty Gargoyles. That thing is, I'm still jealous that I don't get to win it.
We were giving that away.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did Brent not tell you? But we're giving that away.
He told me. I just forgot about it.
No takebacks, Woody. But that thing is gorgeous. I'm most upset that I can't win. And then we're also doing $50 on their website. $50 gift certificate to the Venom Life Gear website. And there's a million things now that you can buy on that. I think there's even a bathing suit. I think it was or something.
Oh, yeah. Men's and
Somebody said
and
something
women's.
about a Speedo earlier. I don't know if that's on the website, but somebody in the chat said something that we need a Venom Life.
No, we don't need.
If
we don't.
you
need
haven't seen it yet, there is a shirt that everybody is going bonkers over, and it's a shirt that says, and all you see it from far away is it says, "I love my wife," and you can have it say, "I love my husband," "I love my boyfriend," but when you're looking at it far away, you see, "I love my wife" in big bold text. But then as you get closer, you see it says, "I love my snakes. My wife deals with it."
That's hilarious.
Oh, but that shirt, I mean, God, Brent, I mean, what, 20 times over we could have sold that shirt?
About 10 times a weekend.
That's so funny.
Absolutely.
Yeah, those
There's
I like
lots-
those shirts when it's like really big text and then you got to get closer to see what the small ones are.
It's almost
Those are
like
funny.
when someone's saying their vows while getting married and they sneak in there that you can't have the thing.
Son of a bitch.
That's it. That's it.
Nobody
Did
knew
you,
what I was laughing about because when we got married, it was just the 2 of us and like our immediate family. So there were only like 10 people at the end of the pier with us. And then everybody else was back watching kind of from a distance. And there was like a microphone so they could hear us, but that was it. But they could only really hear the judge that was marrying us. And this motherfucker over here, he's like saying his vows and all of a sudden he's like, and never getting rid of snakes. And I'm like,
And that you couldn't have.
that I couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Till death do us part, and you can't have the snakes.
yeah. So it was in
So
our
it's le-
vows.
it's
when
legally
we got married.
binding.
It's legally binding.
Legally
Wow.
binding. She can't
I
do anything about it.
Yeah.
I just got a text, and this is something that's kind of big here. Do you guys know who John Ziegel is?
Can't see your face.
Do you know who John Ziegel is?
You know, it doesn't
No.
matter. His shit's still working.
I don't.
No, I don't.
John Ziegel was basically one of our competitors. It was him, Stoney, us, and Midwest Tongs. We're like, and I guess Toby too. But you know, we're all the big hook makers. I guess John Ziegel just passed away.
Okay.
Oh no.
Wow.
Really?
Is that the one Tom Crutchfield posted about somebody passing away? I think that's who he
It's gotta
posted
be him.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Ziegel made incredible hooks. I mean, he's definitely a metal fabricator. Made some really cool stuff.
All of his stuff was one-off customs. Like he wouldn't make another one
A lot
like
of
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at this stuff. Like, I love my snake hook that Nine Finger Sean made. The expandable one that's made out of like a ski pole.
Mm-hmm.
I love that
Yep.
snake hook. But
Yeah.
he's also a great fabricator. I love, if you're ever at a herp show and you see Best Exotics, go look at how he has his banner. He made this whole thing that clips onto the table so that he doesn't have to deal with all the shit the rest of us do of walking around the fucking banner and not tripping over the legs. But he just made it. And I was like, dude, just make that for everybody. People would buy that thing.
Yeah. He's like, I don't have time for that shit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he told me.
Hilarious.
I'm always
Well,
impressed
yeah.
with people like that.
The innovators. Well, I mean, yeah, we got a lot of cool new stuff up on the website, man. So anybody listening, you can go check it out and use your $50 that you win to go
Yeah.
get some good stuff.
Yes. Because right now, only two people have answered in.
When is the next Venom Fest? Is that the right name?
They just had one.
No, like the next one in Texas.
You talking about
The Houston Venom
Houston
Conference.
Conference
Oh,
next
That's
year.
what I'm talking about.
Yes.
When is that?
June.
Yeah,
June.
it's June.
What he said. Why?
Yeah. And there's
I was
also the biology of the pit viper that's coming up in New Mexico, and then
No, Arizona, New Mexico border. Yeah, you're right.
what
I
else?
was just
Go to
thinking
New
like
Mexico.
we could have him on again in January, February to talk about the stuff for the year.
We'll definitely have him on again
Absolutely.
because there's more things I want to talk about.
Also, I missed half of it.
I
And
know.
because
I
Brent-
did too.
Brent's shit didn't work.
We do need to make sure we tell our listeners that next week.
Next week we will be doing our
I could have
podcast.
done it. Huh?
Oh, go ahead. Good.
I speak English.
Are you sure?
All right, really?
And it's my fault that we're moving it.
It's totally not a big deal.
So before we switched back to Tuesdays, I had scheduled a surprise birthday party for my mom next Tuesday, and I
Should've
realized
listened to
that
this.
she would.
She does not. We're fine.
And I realized it last week that oh shit, that's scheduled for Tuesday, and there's like 50 people coming. So we will. Can I say who our guest is?
Yeah.
We're gonna have
Please.
I don't know who it is, but from
Nathaniel
M
Frank from M
Yeah.
Toxins
from M Toxins
Venom
next
Life.
week. But it will be on Wednesday at
Yes.
7 o'clock.
on Wednesday. Yes.
So
Instead of Tuesday.
your other half will probably be here as well
Yes.
because I'll have
It's my
softball.
it's my mom's 60th birthday at that, so it's a big one.
I'll take the. So damn it.
I'm not busy that day. I'll drive to Houston.
All this you're gonna take
on,
Joe to
Brent.
softball. That's gonna be so awesome.
No.
Uncle Brent.
I meant
Uncle
I
Brent's
meant to
taking her to softball. Yes.
Look what you
that sounds like a terrible idea. I was literally in Houston calling Jane on the way here, telling him I was going to be late because I was leaving Houston.
That's
So I was there
hilarious.
like 2 hours ago. Yeah.
Wow.
You could have just spent the night.
See, next time you won't feel like it on a Tuesday or next Wednesday.
Yeah, we
just
have a
come by
whole
the
extra
studio. You
bedroom.
can hang out here.
That's right.
We have a whole extra bedroom because our daughter doesn't
We-
live with us anymore.
We got a
so-
place for you to sleep.
I say I got a futon and a twin bed that's not being used anymore. So
All right.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it needs to be washed.
our daughter got a full size bed. So I just
wanna make
moved
sure we
her
were clear.
bed.
Okay.
I just
wanna make
moved
sure
her
we were
bed
clear.
to like the game area space and turned it
Gotcha.
into a daybed couch.
I
So
got you. Hey, listen, to be clear, I wasn't judging. I'm just saying.
So if they want to get a hold of you guys and get really cool shirts and hats and that cage tub cooler because that thing is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
How can they get a hold of y'all? I'll ask Woody because there's no reason to ask.
no,
There you go.
I love that he's pointing at the camera like, nope, not me.
Yeah, www.venomlifegear.com. Give us a
Or
look.
on Facebook and Instagram at Venom Life Gear.
Yes. And Brent, I
There's
apologize.
nothing
Not
else.
that you even noticed. I totally misspelled your last name. All the stuff I put out today. I forgot to put your
Don't
name
worry about it. I misspell it. Don't worry about it. It's hard.
Yeah.
That's
Robert.
why I just went with Venomous, because arguably Venomous is easier to spell than Schultz.
It is definitely. It is easier. It's one of those situations where there's more letters and it's still easier to
Y'all are
spell.
Yeah. For sure. So Brent
like, is there
Venomous
a
is
silent-
easier.
I mean, I have
So
like
is there
4
a
kids. I
silent
can't
T in
pronounce
there
their last
somewhere?
name. So
Brent Venomous with a Z, like Limp Bizkit.
although, yeah. No.
Oh, Robert, if folks want to get a hold of you,
They already know.
And we know James, so you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
go to lsreptilerex.com.
If people want to get a hold of you, James, what can they do?
Simply underscore serpents on Instagram or simply serpents on Facebook. Or if you want to get a hold of the podcast, is the Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. And go try and win the awesome mandala. I keep on saying Mandela, but that's not who it is. It's a mandala. Because I'm upset that I can't win it. So at least you can get it and show it off. And
I've been getting a ton of Facebook ads from mandalas all of a sudden.
Because we talked about it in your
Yeah.
phones in this
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
I'm more weirded out by the fact that when I'm in certain places, I swipe over on my phone to see suggested apps. It knows what apps I need because of where I'm located.
Hey, James.
Yeah.
I just want to say real quick, next time somebody says, how do you get a hold of me? If you don't say at Google me, bitch, I'm going to be super disappointed. Like, that should be your standard answer from now on. I say it like 3 times a day.
Yes, but there's way more stuff to Google about you than there is about me.
And if you Google him, then you find a really unflattering.
As my daughter pointed out.
Yes, she came through. She's like, "Hey, I Googled you. It's a very unflattering photo,
My
but I
daughter-
Googled you." And I was like,
Has he got his,
Josephine.
his fake picture smile on?
"I don't know."
I'll be right back.
No, it's a screenshot from a podcast, and I'm in mid sentence like talking, and it's not a great.
She was so just like chill about it too, like cutthroat.
No, it can't be any worse than your teenage son coming home and saying, "Dad, I found out what her name is all about."
So if I Google James Lewis reptile, the first thing that comes up is a picture of Travis Wyman.
Fuck you, Travis.
And that is like one of the best photographs of him ever.
Yes.
His wife did a phenomenal
The
job
only
on that
good
shoot.
photo of Travis.
I love it.
Fucking Travis Wyman.
I love it.
All right. Thank you guys for coming on.
You guys
Lewis.
hang
Hey,
on
thanks
while
for
he
having us.
disconnects the broadcast.
That is definitely not me.
That is a reptile
Hey,
encounter.
focus.
Sorry. Okay.
Hey.
We're good.
Love you guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you so much.
Oh, how
Yep,
fun.
see y'all later, guys.
Thank y'all.
See y'all Lafayette.
No.
Wait,
No.
what day is that?
I don't know. It's first weekend of
Woody
November.
said no, so the answer
Woody
is
already
no.
said no.
He may be there, but I won't be there.
I'll show up and hang out.
I love it.
What's new? We knew you were going to work there.
I mean, don't you do the same thing, James?
What the fuck? Well, even if you showed up to work, you weren't going to work there, dude.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank y'all for listening. Goodbye.
Oh,
night.
funny.